Oh man, guys, I hope you're ready for tonight. This show is going to be packed. It's going to be packed. Welcome to episode 98 of the Drag Driver Pete Show, presented by Summit Racing. Y'all, tonight's show is going to be a good one. I'm telling you, we've got Jonathan Stonecipher, Uncle Stony as the co-host. Fro is backstage running kind of some producer stuff. This is something we've been wanting to try for a long time, and I think it's going to be awesome to do that with. So big shout out to Fro and the Gearhead podcast team, or Gearhead Perspective podcast, to let us borrow him and have him tonight. We've got Ed Ensor on the show. We've got Matt Ryce on the show to talk about the documentary for the Sick Week Freaks class. And we've got Tim Blythe on of Blythe Life Racing to talk about Sick Week in a 7-second Triumph Spitfire that's probably the size of this table I'm sitting in front of. And to talk about how he's going to do Lights Out 16 on like $1,000 budget. So it's going to be pretty crazy. Let's get into this thing tonight.
We're going to pack things up and hit the road and try to make it the next day.
Guys. Well, let me bring in my guest co-host tonight while we do our intros here. If y'all don't know, my name's Mike Narks. I am the host of the Drag Driver Pete Show that you're watching now, and the Drag Driver Pete News, which happens on Saturday. We just like to say we're your source for news and entertainment from the Drag and Drive community, and I'm excited about this. My right-hand man, my typical right-hand man, Eric White, is at home taking care of his family right now. Love you, buddy. Miss you already. And in his place tonight, we've got Uncle Stony or Jonathan Stonecipher. And if you guys have been around for any time at all, you know, this is the guy that is the reason that I do a lot of it's the reason I do Dragon Drives, but really pushed. You are probably the cause of this automotive career I have. So thank you, sir, and welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me. I just enjoy being on here, and I'll try to just help you get through the show and try not to chase the rabbit too much.
Well, I think that's what's going to be fun about tonight. You know, I do talk a whole lot during the show, and I think it's going to be some great color commentary. The folks that are on tonight, I don't think you've probably spent much time with the first two guests. I know that you followed Ed Ensor for a while, and really the timing of this worked out perfect for you to be on because you're you know, I was telling you before the thing, you're smart, you're knowledgeable about naturally aspirated stuff, and we're going to have one of the fastest guy in all of Dragon Drive naturally aspirated life on tonight. So it's just really good timing. Hate that Eric's not here, but glad that you are taking his place. You got big boots to fill for sure.
Oh, for real. He does a great job.
Yep. And then big shout out to Fro Backstage Gearhead Perspective podcast. Love those guys. If you're not listening to that, you need to get over there and do that. Those guys run a weekly live show, or they take and edit it down to a podcast. It's awesome, man. They do like marketplace finds and all kinds of cool stuff. So I love it. And, you know, dude, we can't do this without race car friends. You know that?
That's right.
All these people, I'm telling you, it's amazing. The race car friends that we've made over these years. You know, who would have ever thought that Dragon Drive would created a family across all the community? It's
That's
awesome.
Right.
I love it. All the folks in this picture, I think I talked to during Sick Week as well. But just want to say thanks to everybody that is part of this, man. You know, Stoney really kind of helped me kick this off. And there's been a lot of conversations between me and him about the future of Dragon Drive and what's going on and all that kind of cool stuff. And I can't wait to do some of that tonight. And then also to the sponsors, you know, this list continues to grow. People find value in what we're doing here. And I can't thank all of you guys out there enough for that. So if you are spending your money or you're looking for a good page to follow, just go follow these first. That would be my biggest appreciation. Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Deechworks, our newest sponsor to come on board, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solutions, WAF Racing, Performer Built Transmissions, who got a new tool today that looks just freaking awesome. Car Chains 3D, Power Tube TV, Sweet Patina, our first sponsor ever. Love those guys, Blake and the team down there. And then Racing Junk Classifieds. I mean, look, that list continues to grow. I can't say thank you enough, and appreciate everybody for all the support they give us.
I just wanted to remind everybody that be sure and support these companies that support Michael here and the things we do, because most of these companies, they actually support Rocky Mountain Race Week and the circuit and many other races, and we need to support those that support us, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do the things we do.
Well, and that's true. And like one of the biggest things that I love to see is like when brands kind of put their toe in this drag and drive community, man, everybody responds, because there's really, the last few years have been great for sponsors coming on board, because it's helped the events elevate. It's helped everything go to an entirely new level.
Absolutely.
Yep. And we can't do that without everybody's support. Well, let's do this Summit ad read, and then we'll jump into the whole thing. Summit Racing's speed legacy began in 1968 as a one-man startup and is now the world's speed shop with 4 facilities and 200 plus catalog editions. Summit fuels your passion, saves you money, delivers fast, and offers top-notch customer service for more than 1,500 brands. Make sure to download the Summit Racing mobile app for easy access to speed parts. You can find them on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Their social media team is bar none one of the best out there. You can also listen to podcasts on their On All Cylinders podcast. From humble origins to the social media lane, Summit Racing stands by your need for speed, and you can find everything at summitracing.com. I want to talk about this new product, because this is something that I don't understand, and maybe Jonathan, you can help me. But this is literally FIC cc injectors that will regulate boost. So instead of like a I don't know, like not I hate to say wastegate, but like this is like a Mac valve or something that they're using injector pulse to do that with. How cool is that?
That's actually pretty cool. That's actually the first time I've seen that. I've tried to go on their website and look around some since they become a sponsor, but I have not spent a lot of time there. But that's the first time I've actually seen that.
Well,
That's
with hundreds of thousands of products, like it's hard. It really kind of is. Like if you're looking for something specific, like a Howard's cams, like you're going to look,
yes.
you typing in Howard's cams. This kind of stuff. I love that Tommy has put us on a rotation of all new products, and that's kind of what we've been featuring lately. But this thing really kind of blows my mind, using injectors to modulate the pulse or modulate the boost that you can have. So, we've
The,
seen like Mac valves used a lot over the years. Like this is like that, but completely different.
the good thing about that though is like a lot of the fuel injectors, either you already carry a spare or they're easily available. So like if you have a Mac valve go bad, not everybody carries a spare Mac valve. I mean, we've had that issue with Boo's car. It get out and there's not pieces available, but I mean, if you use an ejector that's similar to what you run on your car, you could just carry a couple spares, and then you got, it just
Yeah.
eliminates just a little bit of space.
Yeah, man, that's a great point. I had not thought about that, but that's pretty interesting. I thought this product was one of the coolest I had seen in a while, and I can't wait to see some folks that are a lot smarter than I am use this
I,
thing.
I seen Jay's comment here. He said that they'd used them on CNG stuff, and like he said, that an injector is a whole lot quicker than a Mac valve as far as what it can do, as far as
Mm.
pulsing it and everything too, because the injector is actually made to pulse, where a Mac valve is not actually made to pulse; it's made to just be open or closed. So if you pulse
Ah,
one, the injector probably is actually will outlast it.
mm. Dude, see, that's why I love this stuff, man. Learned something new today already. All right, let's keep rolling because we got a busy show. Obviously, want to remind everybody, Summit has produced the Drag Drive Repeat big brim hats. You can also get your hoodie and T-shirt there as well. So while you're back there ordering your parts to get ready for the season that is upon us, go ahead and throw one of those in there as well. You can be just like Steve Morris and wear one of these big brim hats. It's kind of cool to see him rocking that down there at Sick Week. So. All right. Let's talk about circuit updates because it's coming, dude. 6 weeks, 5 weeks. Oh, God, I'm nervous. I've started. Yeah, I know. I've started the route stop posts. We're not going to post the actual drive yet because I feel like that is an experience to not know where you are going to, the route you're going to be taking, but we want people to know about the route stops. So I've started posting those. You're going to see those kind of posted out over the next week or so. But the reason I'm putting these up on the screen, and for the people that are listening to this on a podcast later, I have Gearhead Curios in Galena, Kansas. We also have Hot Rod Hangout Speed Shop and Diner in Galena, Kansas. The reason these are up here and the reason these are important is because I'm actually routing you through Galena twice. So we're going to route through Galena and stop at Gearhead Curios on Friday night, which I think will be kind of fun, Friday afternoon, as we make our way towards Joplin. And then when we leave Joplin and start heading back towards Tulsa, we're going to swing back through Galena and the Hot Rod Hangout. And Brian and I have been talking. We're going to hide something there that's going to be on the scavenger hunt. So it's obviously this is a lifelong project. He's wanted to do something like this for a long time, and he's getting his dream. He's getting this chance. And so we really want to take the opportunity to just blow up his spot, man. We want to post on social media. We want to do all kinds of stuff, everything that we can possibly do. And I thought, man, what a better way to do that than hide some little scavenger hunt, probably worth a bunch of points on the building that people will be taking pictures in front of. So Sony's been with us, Galena, a bunch.
I was going to say, Galena has really been welcoming to us. We've been there several times on the circuit and also on 666, and the whole town is just really welcoming. And that, with what we do, we're kind of a wild and crazy bunch, and we're not always welcome everywhere. But the town of Galena has really went out of their way to make us feel welcome there.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's one of the coolest places. Like it literally feels like it's in the late 50s, early 60s. Yeah. Everything is kind of coming around to this Route 66, and this next year will be the 100th anniversary. So I can't wait to see what they have in store. I mean, it's one of the biggest stops on Route 66.
Also, I got to answer a quick question for Carter. Steven posted, and Michael mentioned before you chimed in, they have started work on Stanley. So hopefully, Michael will have it out there. I don't want to say that I'm the one that made him retire it, but I might be the one that made him break it. I think,
Well, so yeah. Look, we won't get into whose fault it is. It's 100% my fault. 100% my fault. The route I brought everybody back on, I think, is what dinged the drive shaft, and that's ultimately what spit the rear seal out of the transmission and out. So it is at Steven's house. We talked about it today or yesterday about a plan moving forward, how we're going to fix the cracked manifold that's on it, instead of putting like a log manifold, a different, like a cast setup on it. And I mean, based on what he's looking at, it won't be a problem unless there's something that's torn up inside, which I don't think it is. We'll see though.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Hey, all it's got to do, if he trailers it up there, all it's got to make is 300 miles.
Absolutely.
If we drive, and it'd have been fine then, but drove it up there. Of the 520-mile trip, it made it 500.
I wasn't having a problem. I was cruising along pretty good, but I was actually on the phone with Boo, and Boo was giving you a cussing. He was not enjoying his trip.
Yeah, that's the Highway M was not the route we needed to take. That was not the way we needed to go. All right. Well, WAF Racing has stepped up again with the circuit. If you guys don't know, Chris Wozniak and Lily participated last year. They're coming back, but he's kind of a carburetor guy, which I can't fault him for that. Everybody likes weird stuff, and he's into that stuff. But he makes all these cool tools and parts and pieces and everything like that for carburetors, right? Well, now he has stepped it up, and he is going to sponsor the quickest carburetor, the quickest average carburetor, however we want to word that. I don't know how to word that yet, but whoever has the quickest carburetor at the circuit 2025 is going to get $300 and a WAF Racing care package. So you kind of get your money back,
So if I loan my actual carburetor to somebody else and they actually run the quickest pass, do I get the award for the quickest carburetor?
Quickest average.
Man.
Yeah. They gotta make the week, or weekend. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then in other exciting news. Revved Up Custom Laser Works, Travis Wise has put together the tailgate class. The Joe Diffie class is what we're calling this thing. In that, we are doing a top 4 truck shootout or top 4 tailgate shootout within this. So the top 4 averages going into Sunday will heads up race for $500 to the winner. How cool is that, dude?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that, and I love that it's averages. You can obviously use your passes within your shootout to submit during your time. This is going to be something that's going to be worked in to the regular run order. We'll find a time and pair these guys up, a chip draw for each round, and I mean, you're talking about what, 2 rounds of racing, so it should be pretty easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, tailgate class. There's some hitters in there like Steve Brack, who's won quickest truck the last 2 years in a row, probably even before that. So I'm excited about that one.
Absolutely.
All right, rolling through here because I got to go faster. I'm sorry, I've been talking a whole bunch. All right, Driven Racing Oil is the performance engine oil that can do it all. GP1 is the ultimate oil for any race or performance application, whether launching hard at the drag strip, enduring the extreme heat off-road and on-road for drag and drive racers and circle track, or pushing limits in top fuel drag boats and demo derbies. Winning racers choose GP1, compatible with engines from classic hot rods to cutting edge race machines. GP1's unique surface cling and high zinc formulation ensures superior wear protection, particularly for flat tappet camshafts, while solving issues like cylinder washout with methanol or ethanol fuels. Crafted from legendary Bradford, Pennsylvania based oil and enhanced with state of the art additive packages, GP1 offers the best in protection and performance. And if you're not already following Driven Racing Oil, there's something wrong with you. Go over there, do that on Facebook and Instagram. They have great stuff, and you can order your stuff on drivenracingoil.com. All right, let's talk about some event stuff. Dude, this is one of the most heartbreaking things we've talked about at least all year, maybe in the last 2 since we've been doing this. Kakalaki Run has decided to cancel for the 2025 race. So they're going to go back and regroup and see what they need to do for 2026 if it's going to be an event. This is heartbreaking, dude. I hate to see national level events, especially when they're hosted by drag and drive racers, kind of not be able to make the number to get there and host an event.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just a couple of years ago, one event being gone would have been devastating because, for so long we just had 2 events.
Mm-hmm.
But I hate to see this, but I understand it happens.
Yep. And this year, not obviously not putting any excuses out there for anything, but there are a lot of events in the Carolinas this year, and maybe that played into it. I will say that the car count for registration was way lower than I thought it would be. Obviously, I'm not going to put that number out there or anything like that, but it really surprised me to know that there weren't several hundred people that were signed up for this. As much as everybody talks about not being able to get into an event and all that kind of stuff, the one thing I do want to talk to promoters about is Drag and Drive has 2 events actually. There's 2 events within the Drag and Drive. It's the registration day and the hype that's built around it, and the event itself. So once you really have to absolutely hype up your registration day, and you have to build that for months. Like that's its own event, and then you have to.
It really is.
Yeah, and then after that, go ahead.
I know we sat around and prepped for it. I've actually sat at my computer and did dry runs because back when I got in Drag Week, it was a big deal. Like the time the first time I did it, it sold out in less than a minute. Yep. And then Rocky Mountain Race Week has been that way for quite a while. Luckily, I've been fortunate enough to make several races and be on the returning racer list. Same with yours, because I mean, as somebody new wanting to get in, it's actually not easy to get in one of the races. So
yep. One thing I will say though is there's a lot of times where we've built that hype for that, and then after the event, after the registration day, dude, you hardly hear anybody talking about that event until it's time to go there, and that's on promoters. We need to have like a promoter gathering at some point and really kind of get a plan together for a lot of these to succeed. So I will tell everybody this: them canceling made me sad on our side. So I
Yeah.
am going to do better. Eric and I are going to do better at helping promote these events. We may not have a huge voice, but we're going to talk about it and we're going to cram it down everybody's throat. So I think Dragon Drive's one of the best communities out there.
I need to address one of the comments real quick. Dan Chandler asked if blazers are allowed in the tailgate class. That'll be a question for Travis Weiss.
Yeah.
And I see Travis is on here, so that'd be something you two need to get together on.
Oh,
Originally,
Travis replied.
okay, that's what I thought. I just didn't want to. I don't
Oh,
know if
wait,
that
hang on. Yeah,
I
I was
think
just
that
that may be.
Yeah, I think that's for a comment for David Maxon.
Yeah.
Travis, you might let Dan know about the blazer in the tailgate class.
Yep. Yeah, I know at one point we had talked about those. We talked about small blazers and wagons and things like that. Yeah, he said he was replying to David. Okay, moving on. Again, I hate that for the team at Kakalaki Run. That's really
Absolutely.
sad. So listen, if you haven't done it, go follow them, please. I'm sure there's going to be some updates coming in the next few months. I'm sure right now they're probably just a little sad that didn't happen. Hot Lap Challenge kicks off next weekend, dude. I can't believe this is crazy. Bang Shift Chad Reynolds has put on his own Dragon Drive now. This is exciting to see, like, a guy that has done it for so long, has run live streams, has done all that, is now hosting his own Dragon Drive, and it's in Louisiana, so the weather will be better than what it is right now. At least be warmer for sure. Yep. All right. And then this is another exciting piece here. Oh, sorry. February 28th through March 2nd for Hot Lap Challenge. And again, sign up, bankshift.com. You can see it right there. You can sign up for it or whatever. Oh man. Travis Wise laying it out right here. I'll make notes of this and make the post later. He said, tell you what, let blazers and stuff on a truck chassis into the class. Bring the heat.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I mean, it's on a full size truck chassis. So
absolutely.
Weight break stuff. Heads Up Hustle. I talked to John Paul Franks yesterday. Man, they are rolling into Heads Up Hustle. They have included a Side Hustlers. I love this name for like the Road Week or Sick Ward type class. I think you're going to start seeing this a lot more. I think people are going to have a lot of fun with it. This is a great opportunity for folks to get in that maybe are scared to take that chance at racing, to come in here and do some drag and drive stuff, make it a big cruise, make it a power tour-esque kind of fun deal. Add another 20 or 30 or 40 cars to your event already.
Well, that also, for one thing, it helps people to make it a little bit easier on the tracks for the people getting in and getting the travel routes and everything. Plus, it helps with the race promoters to have a little bit extra funds to do some extra stuff with.
Yeah. Speaking of funds, this is only $120 for driver and co-pilot.
Yeah.
If you want an additional parts, another $40. I feel like that's a heck of a deal.
I think it is.
Yeah, registration opens for Heads Up Hustle this weekend, 10 a.m. Saturday the 21st or something like that, whatever this Saturday would be, 10 a.m. Eastern. And then you get wristbands, track entry, special parking, which is a big deal because you'll get cool stuff. You're not parking out with all the other cars, T-shirts, and a free meal at the racer party.
Carter, are you entering us in that?
Yeah,
Carter Snell, are we going to Heads Up Hustle?
Hey, listen, let's do it. I'll either convoy with you or ride up with you. I'm announcing that event, so that would be a lot of fun to do that.
Me and him had been talking about reaching out and trying to do a couple other events this year where we travel a little bit. So that would actually be a good one.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. Yeah, that would be great. If you guys end up doing it, please talk to me. Let's get together on that for sure. All right, and next up, we're kind of on a regional event kick tonight. Back to the Streets has laid out a bounty on Austin Sanchez's head, the dude that's won Small Tire 2 years in a row. Back to the Streets is like Heads Up Racing. Like, you literally, winners race winners, losers race losers. It's a full-on race, it's a heads-up race every day, and it's no prep. It's drag and drive, and sometimes it's back of the track, sometimes it's middle of the track. They were working at one point trying to get it on the street. I mean, this is a good one. And you see the tracks, dude? Bunker Hill, Muncie Dragway, and Brown County.
Yeah.
Bro. There's never been a drag and drive at Brown County, and I can't wait to see the reactions to streetcars pulling in there, real streetcars pulling in there and making passes at Brown County. That'll be so cool, man. And registration's open on it right now, just so everybody knows. If you want to get signed up. Oh, hang on real quick. One more update. Drop the Hammer Michigan edition has moved to Mid-Michigan Motorplex as their host track. And if you guys don't know, that track's absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Back here to stuff. Wild West has officially made their name change. It is the Wild West Dragon Dash. I love that. There were the whole trademark thing that I'm gonna tell you, they really kicked off this whole thing that we're going through right now,
Yeah.
So man, super cool. I love the new name Dragon Dash. That's a kind of a great name. You see the sponsors that are on there and are part of it. And this event's going to be a good one. South Texas, like San Angelo, Texas, I think is where they're hosting this thing in a couple tracks, couple different days. Going to be a good time. You going to try and make it down there? That one's in October.
We'll just have to look and see. I don't have anything in October, but we're looking at right now. We're looking at maybe trying to go to Bonneville for Speed Week. So I'll just have to see what things look like after that. So
yeah, that would be cool. Scott's story here says most people or racers seem to focus just on the big events. You'll be surprised on how friendly the smaller events are. I believe in my heart that regional events are the gateway drug for drag and drive.
Yeah.
I think that we haven't seen the growth yet from that, mainly because the big events get all the hype.
I don't know, like the last couple of years, I've actually the regional events, I actually enjoy them as much or more. And it makes it easier for somebody that like I don't have a whole lot of vacation time up until this last year changing jobs. I didn't have the vacation time to be gone for 3 to 4 weeks a year. So it made it hard for me to travel to do these things. But it's real easy to get away on a Friday and go spend a weekend somewhere and then try to get back for Monday. So
Yep. And you and I've had the conversation of moving the circuit into a national level event before.
Yeah.
And I'm just not ready to do that. I want to have the bestest regional event and everybody go home and be like, man, I need 2 more days of that.
But anybody that comes to one of your races knows that we have a lot of fun, and you really go out of your way to make sure that everybody has a good time. There's something for everybody. There's the racing, there's the eating together, there's the traveling together, the scavenger hunt. It really makes it there's something for everybody. Even if you weren't into drag racing, you'll enjoy it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And this year we're going to have belt sander drags, so get ready for that. And the midnights. I haven't even started talking about the midnights yet. I can't wait. It's going to be nuts. Last event up here during the driven racing oil part, and man, we are way behind schedule here. But a new national level event has been added to the list: Streetcar Challenge 2025 at Baileyton Drag Strip. They are one of the first tracks that I know that are like promoting and hosting an event. It's not a promoter coming in doing it. I think it's the first event in Alabama that I've seen. 4 days of racing, 7 classes, 300 to 400 miles. It's Baileyton Drag Strip to Holiday Beach Raceway to Jake's Drag Strip and back to Baileyton. And it's like when I do it on Google Maps, it's like 230 miles or something round trip. So I'm sure they've got some really cool routes off some things planned, but we're going to see more of this kind of racing, like where there's tracks, especially in the Southeast, that are packed that close together. You can put those together and do something pretty easy. And with 7 classes, they're not planning to have 200, 300 cars. They're planning to have a good time, 50, 70 cars, I would think, something like that.
But even those races, there's a lot of good times to be had there. So.
Yeah, that's for sure. Mike Anger here saying the 3-day drag and drive event is the new hotness. I don't know about way better than a 6 or 7 day event, but it definitely is different. And again, I feel like it's the gateway. It's how people are going to get into these. And I tell people all the time, we're going to ruin you at the circuit. You're going to come to the circuit, you're going to drive 150 miles a day, and you're going to go, oh man, that was easy. Then you're going to go to what I would consider the hardest drag and drive in all of the world, Rocky Mountain Race Week because you had so much fun at the start. You're like, dude, I got to do a big one, and you're gonna be like, this is hard. And then at the end of the week of Mega Week, you're gonna be like, I earned that. I earned that, and that should be the point. That should be the point of that stuff. So it's gonna be awesome. I'm excited. All right. Of course, you can find the full list at dragdriverpete.com/event list dash 2025. So you can find it on there. JWire Solutions. Let me read this, and then we're gonna bring in. Let me see. Is Matt here by chance? Yes, perfect. All right, Matt, we're coming to you here momentarily. I've got just something real quick to read, and then you're up. Expert car care and marine wiring solutions you can trust. JWire Solutions can wire and plumb your hot rod, race car, drag and drive car. Plus, they offer products to make your driving experience better, like the blinker module that is a must for all drag and drive cars. The module will allow your rear turn signals to blink or to function, I guess, while the brake pedal is applied, just like your stock daily driver does, which that doesn't happen if you put an aftermarket wiring in. But one of the coolest things ever is that our boys at JWire have created a YouTube channel. Please jump over there. I'm going to put the link in the comments right now. The plan is for them to figure out YouTube. I'm not going to say they're going to post weekly, but you guys are going to get a lot of behind the scenes stuff. You're going to get a lot of in-depth technical knowledge from Jay and the team there at JWire. This is a big deal, and it adds a ton more time to their life to do this. So please go support them, like their videos, comment, all that kind of stuff. Big shout out to them. Jay is going to be on next week or the week after. They've got one or two products that I think are going to completely change drag and drive in a great way, and they're bringing them on, and we're going to help kind of break that news here with all that kind of stuff. So Jay says, yay, 2 subscribers. I'm one of those. I look to be way more after this episode.
I'll be on there right as soon as we get done with the show here. I'll join on there too, because we gotta support our friends no matter what we do. We gotta do that. And Jay's a heck of a good guy.
Yep, that's for sure. Well, I do want to talk about Cletus McFarland was on the Dale Jr. download, and y'all, I watched every minute of it today. This was super cool. A lot of the stuff they go in, you know it, but you don't you just know, right? But the way he explains the stuff and how he did it and why he did it and all that, man, it was really one of the best episodes I've seen to date. And it was a great opportunity for him to get in. I feel like he got it in his feels a little bit. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I did. I went on there and watched it, and I have a lot of respect for Dale Jr. I wasn't a fan when he raced, but watching his podcast has brought a new respect for him. And with watching Cletus and the way he interacts with his guys, it makes me have a lot of respect for them guys, because I wasn't a hater, but I just wasn't on board for a long time with either one of them. So, but after watching their shows, I'm a fan.
Yeah, I was impressed. It was a great episode. If you haven't done it yet, Dale Jr. download, or Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Dirty Mo Media, however you want to get it. It'll be on a podcast. It's on the video, all that kind of stuff. It was really, really good. Highly recommended. All right, now let's bring on our first guest of the evening, Mr. Matt Ryce. I'm going to pull us away here. Dude, where are you at right now?
I am actually in an Airbnb just outside South Georgia Motorsports Park. Here for Lights Out 16.
Man, that's awesome. You've been all over the place. If you guys don't know, Matt obviously has been around YouTube, been around social media and all that kind of stuff for a long time. Very accomplished racer, and found Drag and Drive last year or year before. I can't remember your 6-week experience.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah. And then our buddy Dave Teresi was your co-pilot last year. Is that right?
Yeah, old crazy Dave from New York.
Yeah, love that guy.
He helped me navigate it.
Yep, that's awesome. Well, the reason you're on tonight is to talk about, dude, I can't imagine the project you had in front of you with that. So kind of give everybody a little bit about what this is, and I just want to know why. Like why that class and all that.
So the way that this kind of whole thing came to be, essentially I deal with a number of companies where my marketing agency works directly with companies like Hot Shots, DMJ, Stainless. Like those were the driving forces behind this essentially. And what I wanted to do was, present something in a way that allowed any audience to experience it and enjoy it, but also hit the points and do the talking of, well, like, look at these people in our community that we're proud of, and look at their accomplishments and what they're able to do. And it sends a message, right? Because from a company perspective, it's like, look how much we care about our people. Um, and although we know it's true, like sometimes it's hard to rationalize that or word that or whatever. So I think a project like this kind of checks those boxes, for us professionally. And then on the other end of it, I told Brandon I want to do something that we're proud of. Like,
Mhm.
we have an opportunity, and it's not all the time that you get that opportunity. We do a lot of work with a lot of people, and usually it's much more run and gun, and it's quick turnaround stuff. And so I said, we have an opportunity to dedicate a week of our lives to telling this story the way that we've experienced it, the way that others have experienced it, and to really try to capture that moment and speak to what it is.
Yeah, and so for the folks that don't know, this is like an hour and 44 minutes of following along with the Sick Week Freaks. I think this is probably going to be, we all have all watched the Mike Finnegan videos, 4 hours at Drag Week 23, or 24, whatever. We watch his Drag Week 24 videos, all that stuff. I think these super long form, I mean, not 12-minute long form, like this is a big deal. And just to show some of the screenshots that you shared
Yeah.
on your page, this is very, very high quality stuff. This looks like it's going to be amazing. But I love the chance that you're giving a lot of these guys, like to be able to tell that story all week, to be able to talk about these things in detail that they're literally living through every day. I mean, dude, I saw you with a camera in people's faces. I saw you getting drag race shots. I can't wait to see this thing, man.
Well, and I think that's part of it, right? And it's why we picked the Freaks class. Fortunately for us, there were some sponsored racers that were in that class, so that kind of made it really easy.
Hmm.
But the other part of it too is that, like, everybody gets the story of Brent LaSalle, and don't get me wrong, that story should be told 600 times, and
Yep.
he absolutely deserves it. But what not everybody is going to get is the story of these guys, the freaks, the misfits as they call themselves, which is such a non-traditional class in racing in general.
Hmm.
Um, and then the personalities, and these people do have a story to tell, and I think it's just as important as every other one out there.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's probably more in depth, 'cause these guys haven't had the chance to tell these stories. So, dude, I can't wait to hear Jesse Harris and then his son. I can't remember his first name, man. I'm sorry, but with the Chevette, with the Mercedes diesel, dude, crazy stuff.
Yep, Joey.
So yeah, so Sick Week Freaks is like kind of the diesel slash non V8, inline sixes, V6s, four cylinders, all that kind of stuff, kind of gather up in this class. Um, what was your favorite part of that experience of being able to tell those stories?
It's like the favorite part of any other Sick Week experience or Drag and Drive experience, right? It's the friendships that you create, the memories that are made. There were some individuals in that class who we got to follow around that I knew very well, some that I knew, a little bit, and then some that I barely knew at all, and some I didn't know. So uh, getting to have that experience and share that with people and create those relationships was definitely probably the favorite part of the process. I mean,
Hmm.
it was long, it was painful, it really did take a lot, but and capturing these moments for those people, and I think that that's something that we did a good job at, is really putting in the moment.
Well, and that's my next question, man. Having watched the full video, because that was the post you made today or yesterday, like what are one or two things that you're most proud of about this thing?
Above everything, I'm most proud of Brandon. So, for those of you guys that don't know, Brandon works with me full time. I brought him on a couple years ago to help with YouTube stuff. He is my lead editor and videographer. He's smarter than me. I learned from him. So, but hey, that's how businesses work, right? Get
Yeah,
somebody better
right.
than you.
Yep.
So, uh, early that week, I challenged him and I said, hey, I want you to take our new camera that we still haven't quite figured out yet. We moved up to an FX3, and although we're in the Sony family, that one still was a little different and just the way it laid out and worked. And then I want you to take an anamorphic cinematic lens that doesn't have autofocus whatsoever. Everything's manual focus,
Oh man.
and it's shot anamorphically. So those black bars you see on top and bottom, usually we replicate that, like we put that in there. And the thing that we're replicating is this style of lens. Absolutely should not be used for drag racing. No, like that's not a good idea. And then I set them off and I said, look, all week long, I want you to do this. I want us to have something that we're turning around and we're proud of. And every single thing I will back up on our handy A7 III. And then I'll get all the extra shots and other filler stuff that we need and whatever. And he really knocked it out of the park. So it's just a story of like when you give somebody an opportunity to show you what they can really do, sometimes you're very pleasantly surprised. Like it's a good thing.
Well, what are some things that you're excited for people to watch?
Um, I'm excited for them to see the stories. I'm excited for them to meet new people. Um, and I'm excited because I feel like we take you through a range of emotions. And my thing has always historically been if you can make somebody laugh, great. If you can make them cry, you're really kicking ass. Um, so, I based some of my
Yeah.
video making career on that premise. So I think we take you on a roller coaster of emotion, and I understand it's not what you're used to seeing on YouTube. It's not the typical thing. But if you commit to the hour and 45 minutes, I think you will be very, very surprised and very happy. And if you don't, I'll give you your money back.
There you go. That's exactly what do you want for nothing?
Right.
That's I'm really excited. The editor in me does have to ask, how many hours do you guys have just in editing this thing?
So throughout the week, Brandon did try to do a little bit of like stitch a couple clips together because the other problem
Mhm.
is this footage was so large we couldn't even view
Yep.
it on a laptop. It's a much bigger thing than people even understand, like how much of a
Yep.
process this was. Um, so I know he's got quite a few hours into it there, and then I can guarantee you every bit of 60 to 70 hours to make the final version that we have now.
Wow. Man, that is so
So
cool. Like,
yeah,
and people, I mean, that's huge. So say you've got 80 or 90 hours in what would be probably 3 or 4 hours of footage minimum. I mean, if it's an hour and 40 minutes, you probably took 5 or 6 hours of footage and you're cutting it down and you're adding stuff and you're two cameras bringing like people don't understand the level that you have just put into this is like uh, it takes real brain power and commitment to do this because there's times where you've worked on that thing 8 hours in one day and you've done 4 minutes of time in this video. So
yeah.
man, I can't wait to see it. When does it drop?
So I am uploading it as we speak, but we are at the worst internet
Yeah.
availability Airbnb in the entire South Georgia Motorsports area. So it should premiere at noon Friday on YouTube.
Oh man.
So it'll go up.
Wow.
It'll go up on the Hot Shot Secret YouTube first. It's supposed to go to Facebook, but I just don't know that I'm gonna be able to upload it.
Yeah.
And then eventually, my plan was I wanted to take a page out of the book of what Sick Week had done previously, where they dropped on multiple channels.
Hmm.
Um, but then it became a 98 gigabyte file, and then we ended up here in Georgia, and then so I think we're just going to be lucky to get the Friday at noon thing out.
Yeah. Well, man, that's so exciting. I can't wait. We're going to share the hell out of it over here. I love this idea. I love this thought process. And to tell the story of the Sick Week Freaks, that's something that you typically don't get. And I can't wait to see the response to this thing, man. It's going to be awesome.
I think so, man. I think people are really going to enjoy it. And Cooper and I talked like, does this change things? Does this mean that more of this will? the thing is, we know in the automotive content space that generally that kind of hard work and effort is not rewarded. It
Hmm.
just isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People just want to see the stuff. They want to see it now and everything else. So, I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe we
They
can
they
shake that
they
up a
want
little
to
bit.
they want a 6 minute video while they can watch while they're taking a shit. You know what I mean? Like, and I
Right?
think we're really getting away from that. You know what I mean? Man, I don't know. Mike Finnegan leading the way with some of his 2 hour stuff. You doing this now, dude? I'm telling you, I can't wait. We're going to premiere it at the house at noon on Friday if it's loaded by then. So I'm
If it's
excited.
loaded.
Yeah, where can people follow you, man? Where can they, start watching all the stuff that you guys are doing?
Absolutely. So everything mine is going to be Matt Ryce, RYCE, Instagram, Facebook pages, YouTube. I mean, the whole thing, the whole game, it's going to be there. So you guys can check that out. That's kind of more of my personal stuff and what I'm working on and got going on. But you can definitely check out Hot Shot Secret. One of the things we do there is just about every week we've got some piece of long form content going out. Whether it be 10, 15 minutes, like, we're not talking crazy stuff, but they've got something coming out almost weekly over there that Brandon and I made. Like, that's how it got
Wow.
there. So, it's a good place to check out something different too.
Yeah. That's really cool, man. Well, again, thank you so much for being on here. Thank you for taking the time tonight and talking to all of us. We've got to roll, but man, I appreciate the effort that you're putting into this. I really do. I see Joe Haney saying that as well. So yeah, you're the man. We appreciate it, and we'll see you soon, dude.
All right. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Matt. Man, I hope people understand the level of commitment that they've made to do that. Like he just said 60 or 70 hours. That's plus the week that they were there to do that. And I'm sure that they haven't worked on much else other than that. And now they're at lights out. So
That, and I'm glad to see that they're doing something on the Sick Week Freaks. That's kind of a class that I really enjoy because you see something that's different. That's not what everybody's doing. Me and you've had that conversation many times that and I'll just say, if somebody wants to sponsor a Freaks card, let me know and we'll figure out how to build something. So
yeah, that's
I'm
exactly
all
right.
about it.
Right. And I think that's what I'm hoping that's what some of this can do is,
Yes, absolutely.
there's a lot of guys that have a lot of screen time and
Yeah,
deservingly so. There's a lot of guys that probably deserve a lot of screen time, but man, you guys know it. It's hard to run around and get all of that content. Y'all see me running around like crazy. Throw a camera in your hand, talk to these folks, pick 10 racers and go follow. Pick a class.
that, and I think with some of the stuff that happened with Cletus and James and everybody this year, Steve,
Hmm.
I just think that there's going to be an influence of cars that are not traditional, that people want to have fun, not
Yeah.
necessarily be the king ding dong.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the more we talk about this weird, interesting stuff, like more people are going to build or bring out their weird, interesting stuff. Like there's probably a ton of
Uh,
eBay Turbo Civics out there that just don't do a drag and drive just because they don't think, oh, well, I,
Right?
I don't have a V8, I can't run at the front, blah blah blah. Well, then they see something like this 6 week freaks class, and they're like, oh, well, hey, come on.
Yeah,
I
I see
see.
Brandon chiming in
Yeah,
there.
5 cylinder all wheel drive. Yeah, it doesn't get any
Oh,
weirder than that, dude.
he's he's all about the Sick Week Freak. Like,
Yeah, yep. And I love that car, man. It's so cool.
yeah,
Uh, Looks great, sits low, and I appreciate. Big shout out to those guys for bringing my luggage back, man. I appreciate that
yeah.
a whole lot. Made my flight way easier. Um, all right, let's move on. We're gonna bring on Tim Blythe and Kaitlin here in just a minute, but I want to do the Molly ad read real quick, and then we're gonna bring them on because if you guys don't know, we talked about this in the first part of it. They're trying to do lights out 16 on like $1,000 budget. So I love the way his brain works. And I love the thought process behind that. So we bring up the Molly stuff here. Racers and high performance enthusiasts ready to start your next engine build? If so, there's no better time than now to check out the Molly Motorsports all-in-one power pack piston kit with over, you ready for this, 1,200 applications. These kits come complete with pistons, rings, wrist pins, and clips, all designed to work together. Molly Motorsports Power Pack piston kits take out all the guesswork. No more trying to determine if a piston will need this ring to work with a certain cylinder size. Molly Motorsport did all the engineering so you can get to the part that matters, building a power plant that leads to victory lane. Visit mollymotorsport.com for more details. And for all those podcast listeners, Molly is spelled Mahle out there. So I'm excited about this. This is going to be fun talking to the Blythes right here. Hang on just a second. How are you guys this evening? Sitting there in front of the or behind the Triumph?
To the side, yeah. We're doing good. How are you doing?
I'm excited, man. This is going to be fun.
Yep.
I tell you guys all the time, this is one of my favorite cars in Drag and Drive. It's like the size of this table I'm sitting at with a huge motor and small tires in the back, and this thing just is a rocket ship. So introduce yourselves, especially the dog, and then
yeah.
kind of give
We
us a
can do that.
recap of the car.
All right, so this is Dingo and my wife Kaitlin and Tim. That's me. You guys kind of know that. So a recap on the car. It started out as kind of a standard build, but then it kind of snowballed. So it's a 25 1K chassis, 6.0 certified. Normally run a 4L80 unit for drag and drive stuff. A full floater 9-inch, 427 Texas speed short block PRC head, 2076 millimeter, and a little narrow and a little bit longer than factory.
Yeah, the Twin 76 is on the front of this thing. I think it's probably what draws everyone's attention.
You know, they look like 120s or something on this.
They look
It's funny,
gigantic.
really.
On
What
this
size
thing.
is that? I'm like, it's not as big as you think, I promise.
Yeah, that's awesome. Again, one of the coolest cars. Sick Week 2022 is where we met you first. Back then, it was a single turbo 5.3. This thing is a 4L80, right? Or is it 400 now?
It's always been a 4L80. I
It's
made a
awesome.
mistake and threw it in overdrive at the end of the shutdown because I was having some D-cell oil problems. Turns out that's a very bad idea. So it either messed up the overdrive sprag or something. So in order to do lights out, I had to throw a power glide in it that I had laying
Oh man,
around.
you're
Yeah.
never going to go back. So
Oh no. Well, I'll tell you a story here, Michael. We lost overdrive, and I felt the pain of everybody that doesn't have a lockup and doesn't have an overdrive. Because we were used to running 1,700 RPM at like 70 miles an hour, and then I'm like 2,400 RPM going 55, and I'm like, what's the deal, guys?
Yeah, 75. That's a little scary.
Yeah.
yeah, this
Spoiled.
car again is just awesome. What's the fastest you've been in that thing?
So we had to get our advanced CT license at Bradenton. So I threw up a random tune-up in it that I thought may be close to 749. First trip was a 734. Blew out the rear main seal, 4 quarts of oil underneath the car. God saved my butt on that one. And then the next trip was a 729. So that was the fastest this car's been. And 195 is the fastest mile an hour.
Jeez, what's that like at that speed?
Honestly, I could, just like driving Miss Daisy's car, just kind of, doing the thing. I'll be honest with you, unless there's oil under the tire, it's pretty uneventful. I mean,
Wow.
it's got about 7 degrees of camber in it, so it runs pretty good. Or caster. Which one's the one with the wheel? Caster. That's right.
Caster.
Yeah. So it does pretty good on the track as long as it's hooked up.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you extended the factory wheelbase like 8 or 10 inches or something crazy, right?
Yeah, it was like 11. So that's what's funny about this story. So technically, you're supposed to have, I think it's a 90 something inch wheelbase to get certified for this type of chassis. Well, in doing that, when you stretch it to get yourself close to like a normal wheelbase, you get thrown into a class they call the unlimited class because you're a stretched chassis. So we're going to work until we actually fit in that class and are competitive. So that's kind of our goal.
Nice. That is one of the things you posted. The posts you've been making on Sixth Mag Group. I love them, dude. It really is some thoughtful stuff going on there. A lot of in-depth conversations being had there. I love it. And you asked the other day, what was your, what is your ultimate drag and drive goal? And I think you said like run fives, right?
Yeah, so by the time I'm 45, I'd like to run a 5 second pass. I don't know if it'll be in this car. We'll see because I'd have to change some stuff.
Yeah.
But I do have another car that would be a Pro Mod chassis, stock
Yeah.
wheelbase. It's a 72 240Z. Could be happening in that. Could happen in this. We'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would think the 240 would be a little better for aerodynamics, and not have this giant wall here in the front that's got inlets.
Well, Michael, when you're this small, that you can't have that much wind slowing you down. So by default, this thing is at least somewhat aerodynamic. I'll just give it the benefit of the doubt.
That's awesome, man. Well, walk us through sick week. We've got. I want to keep you on for about another 10 or 12 minutes, but walk us through sick week, man. Tell us how that whole thing went.
So this was kind of an interesting thing for me, and I won't focus too much on it. But for me, it was a thing where I was thinking it was going to be our last year. We were running out of money, and I kind of ended up having like a little heart to heart with God, and he kind of said, you know what, man, let's just do this, and I'm going to help you with this. So it's kind of my mission to kind of speak some gospel at different events and stuff, and he's given me some really big confidence. So it kind of happened during sick week, and as far as like the racing and stuff, man. I'll be honest with you, I was hoping to go a little bit faster, but at the same time, it was like, man, it's so surreal that we ran a 760 average. Like almost the only day that messed us up was because we didn't have any testing, right? So day one was our test pass, and that was an 8.0 because I got oil under the tire. And luckily, well, not luckily, I know what happened. I threw the chute when I was supposed to, which was early, so it saved me from getting sideways. And then after that, we ran all sevens. So 760 average, and pretty much this was the first time we brought this engine out. So all that was fairly flawless. We had a few minor hiccups.
Yeah.
A wiring deal. I freaked out and thought the rear end was exploding. And then
I was like, can we just take a breath?
we're on the side of
Give this a second.
we were at a gas station. It was after Bradenton where we had no sleep. I was just delusional. I felt the rear end and it was hot. And I thought for some reason my rear end's ruined because it's hot. Now you just ran like 100 miles and rear ends differentials get hot. But
Yeah.
spent like an hour and a half in the parking lot trying to figure out what was going on. I just needed some sleep.
Man, that's one of the hardest things about drag and drive, getting people to understand is like, your brain doesn't work right. You've been up for 2 days, you've had no sleep, the adrenaline has worn off now, and it just made a weird noise. Oh man, it's the absolute worst thing that could ever happen. Pull the engine out, tear the rear end apart. It ends up being something simple.
Yeah,
So
you're really hyper focused on everything except for what you should be hyper focused on.
yeah,
But the thing about this sick week was it was kind of like everybody was pretty much in the same boat. I think we left the track at like 4 or 5 and got the hotel like 2:30. And it's not what you think. You get to the hotel and you're like, oh, so you went to bed at 2:30? No, I sat there staring at a clock till like 3:30 and then woke up at 6. I mean,
Yep.
can't just shut off after all that either. So there's a lot of different stuff that goes on with just trying to get some quality sleep if it's 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever it is.
Yep. Yeah, that's man, I'm telling you, it's wild. One thing that I've always enjoyed with you guys is your just your resourcefulness, right? So I want us to talk about this $1,000 budget going to Lights Out 16 because this is a big deal. Because a lot of time, I mean, there's people that are going to be down there that spend $1,000 today on the grocery store.
Yeah,
You know
what's funny
like,
is, so the parking there, Nate just said, hey, there's a paid parking, $500. That's half my budget. So the deal with this is, I told Kaitlin a while ago, before I got this 427, that I was going to get her a car. And, it didn't happen. So she's
I'm
like,
still carless.
yeah, she has a car, but it's a Kia and it's not doing well. It's on its last leg. So this guy said, felt like I was supposed to give you this money, and he handed me $1,000. And then Nate messaged me on the Facebook and said, "Hey man, you want to do lights out?" And I was like, "Oh sure, that'd be cool. I've always wanted to do
Mhm.
that." One of my fondest memories with Colby Gate and one of my buddies growing up was we went to Lights Out 8. So I was like, yeah. When is it? It's like next weekend. I was like, oh my gosh. So we're doing this thing on $1,000 because I can't spend any of our personal money because we got to save up for other stuff. But sponsor
Yeah.
money, that's good, fair game. So I've had to
Hint,
update a
hint,
bunch of
hint,
things.
hint, hint. Sponsors, if you want to throw some money their way,
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're
We're,
they're
we're,
open to
we're
that.
willing to accept.
Yeah.
And that's real
So
talk
the
there
other,
too.
say that
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. You
That's
said
real
that.
talk. That's
Oh
a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people
Yeah.
don't understand what it takes
Take all the
with
help we
finding
can get.
It's hard. I
yeah.
mean, you spend this thing looks like it's worth $5, but I probably got close to 80 grand in this thing. No joke.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
We did 6 summer one year without putting AC in our house.
yeah, it was
Mm,
a neat sacrifice, to say the
mm.
least. But so to put some perspective on this, I didn't have an oil pan on this thing this morning, so there's definitely some changes that had to be made. Uh, We'll say the $1,000 budget is relative because I've got a buddy that I paid for his ticket to get in. It's $100 per ticket. So I'll break it down realistically. So however you want to break it down as far as did you really only spend $1,000? It may be a little subjective, but I'll just break it out, maybe line item by line item and say, if you want to count this, we'll count this. If not, this is kind of what we went over.
Wow, man, that's yeah, we don't have to break it out line by line, but I want to know, like, if you've got $400 left, man, is there going to be any food left in the house, or are you taking everything with you?
We got some snacks. I think I got $10 in my bank account right now. That's
Nice.
actually no joke. But we have more than one bank account. I won't say which one that is though. But now we're bringing snacks, and since Kaitlin can't be there until Saturday late, I've got to bring a stovetop because she's the one that reminds me, hey, you got to eat.
Yeah.
Like stand in the line and
You
give us
would never
burgers.
feed me if I didn't handle that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can starve myself for some
Yeah.
reason. I just
Shout
do
out to
it.
Race Wives.
Oh yeah. You
Yeah.
don't know how many times I've heard, you've got something special. And it's like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I
and
definitely
just
do.
just the thought of, like, and Melissa does me the same way. She's like, "You need to eat." And I'm like, I haven't thought about it. I haven't eaten since the, you know, cold McDonald's burrito I had at, 8 a.m. and it's
Yeah,
four
we
p.m. in
go
the
like
afternoon. Yeah.
shoot 5 hours and then realize we haven't ate. All we ate was like a energy drink and like what do they call that? Like one of the shakes, with the
Yeah.
protein stuff, and
Yeah. That's not even
it
that's
the
not even
thing
real
is
food.
if you eat properly like you're supposed to, you'll actually feel a lot better and have more energy, and you won't be so dead, at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. whatever it is.
Yep. So what class are you in, and what are the plans?
For lights out,
Lights
it's
out. Yep.
gonna be the bragging rights class. So it's a streetcar class. Call it streetcar. We can talk about that too, Mike. You want to?
Yeah.
What is a
Yeah.
streetcar? Let's
Right.
talk about that. But yeah, that'll be, and I think there's a 45-minute cruise. I'm not sure if it's on the highway or if they do that on the little oval track by there. But it's as far as the elites of radio racing, they will be there. So we'll be like the redheaded stepchildren, and this thing's definitely going to be the weirdest thing out there by
That's awesome.
at least top five, I'd say, weirdest thing out there.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's good. I mean, you guys obviously leaned into that a little bit, building the car to the next level each year, going next level, next level. And
Exactly, man.
yeah, I think it's going to work for you, man. I hope there's a lot of eyeballs on that event this week, so it's going to be
Oh
cool.
yeah, it could be really cool, and it's a big platform too. Plus, you can bump elbows with the who's who of drag racing, especially like real deal like
Yeah.
radial versus the world cars, LDR, Limited 275 or whatever. All those big name people are going to be there, so
Yeah.
it's cool.
Well, and just I know that you're one of the smartest dudes that I've met. Your fabrication skills are next level, all that kind of stuff.
Oh
But
my
like,
goodness. Don't
to,
say
You're
that.
gonna inflate his
Let me
ego.
tell you this, just to say this. I failed geometry in high school. Do you want me to do your chassis work? Just
Hey,
saying.
listen. Failing geometry in school doesn't mean nothing when you're building race cars.
I blame the teacher actually because I retook it and I did fine.
Yeah, there you go. And you built a car that goes 195 miles an hour in the quarter mile. Like, I mean, that's pretty important. Yeah, there's
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
I'd like to drive somebody that has an actual professional built race car. This thing may be the scariest thing ever. I'm just used to it, and I'm like none the wiser. I have no idea.
Yeah, they were talking about a little bit of that today on the West Buck show. It was like, so many cars drive so differently that you can't just
Hmm.
necessarily get in something and just go right down. And some people can, some people can't. I mean, I think you're probably one of those guys that can. So if somebody's looking for maybe a driver mod, you're
Heck yeah, I'll
lightweight,
give it
you're
some.
quick.
I got my suit. I got a 20 suit. I've got everything I need, man. Put me in a pro mod. Let's do it.
Yep. So what's the plan for like content from the week? I know Kaitlin does a lot of the editing and stuff like that while you're racing and things. Are you grabbing content, and when she shows up Saturday, she's going to edit some? Are you going to be editing during the week? What's the plan?
So I'm gonna go down there. Well, we're late, but I'll say early tomorrow morning. We're supposed to be there. Taking a buddy, Steven Teams, with me. He's a drift guy, and
Hmm.
he's kind of getting into this with me to kind of help me out. So the plan is to just shoot as much B-roll and random stuff because I think we probably only get one qualifier a day.
Wow.
Might try and do some interviews with people on what is a streetcar type stuff from different people's perspectives if I'm
Yeah.
feeling froggy. And then as far as scheduling, you got anything you want to talk about? Because Kaylin does the social media almost as far as videos and content like that
Hmm.
exclusively.
I mean, I'll just put out whatever you give me.
It's all
Do
tentative.
some cool stuff, but I'll put it out.
Yeah, we have
Yep.
no real schedule. We're just gonna try and put out what we can.
But yeah, I'll be at Lights Out on Saturday and Sunday.
That's awesome. And you guys can follow them obviously on Blythe Life Racing. One of my favorite follows, you guys, power couple. I saw somebody, Brianna, say a real power couple.
Oh, that's
That's
so
true.
sweet.
You guys kick ass, and it's so much fun watching. To have seen Tim in this, man. I don't know how you drove that first iteration of Triumph to
Oh my
what it
god,
is
dude!
now.
I'll tell you
Hey,
that
I
was
wholeheartedly
scary.
believed in that,
That was
and
scary.
Timothy did not.
Driving down the highway at 55, like gripped up on the steering wheel, white knuckled. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
The very first iteration was it that as unsafe as that looked. I guarantee you that's how unsafe it actually was. Not the case now, but it was back then. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I can't imagine it. I've driven and ridden in some of those cars of that age and that genre. Man, just I don't know how people drove them at speed, especially to have back then it had 5 or 6 or 700 horsepower. I can't imagine what kind of power it makes now.
Yeah, we're injector limited. The short block is good to around 2,000 horsepower. I got to get some bigger injectors and got to really sneak up on the tune so I don't mess anything up. So I've got like Lance Dishroot who helps me do the tuning as far as bass tune, and I power manage the thing. So
Yeah,
should be as soon as I get injectors putting down some serious stuff.
We
So
should have some sponsor money coming.
yeah.
So
We got our Brightside
hopefully.
sponsor. He's giving us some stuff. So if we can get some injectors, we can start up arrowing it. So, but we'll be like 1,500 horsepower this weekend. Is what we're kind of looking at. So
wow,
we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
man, that's so cool.
Yep.
Well, where obviously I said Blythe Life Racing for anybody on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that kind of stuff. What is the real quick? What's the future of the channel? What are we looking at for 2025, and where are we going after that?
Well, we have brand new Tim. So I'm hoping we're going to have a lot more fun content, more exciting. No offense. I love you dearly. But I just hope that it's more inspiring and we can do more with it.
Yeah, so we've done like a little mission statement on our YouTube channel. So we're gonna talk about God a little bit, and we're gonna kind of recap on everything we're doing, like our journey as far as the car, trying to hook up with some cool people, and just tell an awesome story, and just be a light in a dark place. So
Yeah.
that'll be really cool.
All right, guys, thank you so much for spending time with us tonight. I appreciate it a whole bunch. We got to get rolling on this thing, y'all. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. You got to see
All
what's
right,
the
man. We love you
award
We
too.
love
show.
you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for
Yeah.
finally putting us on.
Yeah, right. I know
so
we
long.
need an hour-long episode with you guys, so we'll
I know,
start
dude. I
on
could
that
talk
for
for probably 10, but
He could talk that long.
Anyway, no, it's awesome. Thank you so much for having us on. We appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you guys. We'll see you very soon. See you
All
very
right, man.
soon.
We'll see you.
Man, I'm telling you, one of my favorite teams, race car couples, whatever you want to call them, power couple out there. They are really a blast. And what's really cool has been to see the growth of them. I would say as people, but also like their Tim's willingness to be in front of the camera and talk and build a car in public. That's hard, man. There's a lot of people that are they're jackasses a lot
Yeah.
of times when you're trying to
There's,
put yourself out there.
there's lots of guys that are racers that can't ever make the jump to being a camera personality. That they
Yeah.
might be a good racer, or there's even racers on professional level that couldn't. People thought they were complete jerks just because they couldn't pull off being in front of the camera.
Yep, and he's done a great job. She's done a great job.
Yeah.
Their stuff is great. They've really taken they want it to succeed. That's the biggest thing, and you can tell that in their level of dedication.
I remember the first time I seen them make a pass. I just seen the car pull up there, and I was thinking about Steven when it pulled up there, and then
Yeah,
it was really fast, and I was like, wow.
yeah, yeah. That car's great, and that first
Yeah,
iteration was like on factory Triumph Spitfire front
yeah.
suspension and brakes. Dude, that guy, he's
It,
got
it was
meat
wild. It was
on
wild watching it.
yeah, yeah, a lot of fun. All right, guys. Well, moving into the last half of the show here, and I'm gonna tell you what. Right now, this is going to be a fun one. We have Mr. Ed Ensor that's going to be on here. I seen backstage. We're going to bring him on here in just a few minutes, and I can't wait. We're going to talk about Sick Week. We're going to talk about his drag and drive history. This dude has like 8 years or 9 years of being a co-pilot for a class winning racer. Like he hasn't raced all this time. He's been a co-pilot. Like, and I think that's where Jonathan and him are going to have a lot in common. They're going to be able to talk about a lot of stuff because Jonathan's been a co-pilot a lot of times, probably almost as many times as he's been a pilot in these things.
About half. Like
Yeah,
I've done 21 now, so and seven as a co-pilot.
man, that is so crazy. Well, let me thank some sponsors real quick, and we'll get into all this stuff. So let's kick off this part here. Deechworks is a leading manufacturer of high performance fuel system components. They are also the official fuel delivery of Drag Drive Repeat. The DW line includes fuel injectors, fuel pumps, pump modules, fuel rails, regulators, filters, lines, and fittings, and surge tanks. Anything you need to support power levels from 400 to 2200 horsepower. Since its founding, Deechworks has been committed to delivering quality, innovation, and hang on, sorry, I'm trying to get the picture pulled up here. I want to show you this one here. This is freaking awesome. Since its founding, Deechworks has been committed to delivering quality, innovation, and precision to the automotive performance industry. Every Deechworks product is built to maximize reliability and efficiency, which is important in drag and drive, ensuring optimal fueling solutions for racers, tuners, and performance enthusiasts worldwide. With a focus on engineering excellence and industry-leading customer support, Deechworks continues to drive the future of high-performance fueling. This setup right here, this triple fuel pump module for 2011 to 2024 Mustangs, bro, 1700 horsepower. Come on. This is the kind of stuff I think that helps move things forward because like somebody can just take this, they can put a big Whipple or a set of twins on a 2011 to 2024 Mustang, and then suddenly, oh hey, you just drop this in and it works. It's crazy,
It,
man.
it takes a lot of fab work out of some of the cars too. That's
Yeah, retains factory surge features. All that kind of stuff is really, really cool. So big shout out to Deechworks who came on board for this year. 2025 is our newest sponsor, and I can't wait to have one of them on. Which I think we're planning a time in March. I don't know if I can say. I'm not going to say who it is, but there is an 850 class leading racer that just started working at Deechworks, and that should be announced in the next few weeks. That is so smart that like he won and done an 850 at events in 2024. So that's all I'm going to say about it. Couple days had a turbo issue, 850s with one and done each day. Absolutely crazy. I can't wait to kind of pick his brain and see how we can make fueling better for drag and drive racers with Deechworks. It's gonna be so cool. All right. Let me jump back here. Let's thank thank you, race car friends, again. I love you guys. We can't do this without you. We're going to go over tonight. So get comfortable, grab another adult drink and get ready. There's no way we can have Ed Ensor on here and not last longer than this. We can't do that without you guys. Hit the share button for us, please. Thank you to our sponsors. Obviously, I mentioned Deechworks, Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solutions, WAF Racing, Performer Built Transmissions, Car Change 3D, Power Tube TV, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds. If you are spending money, please jump over there and try and do it with them. We would appreciate that. And, you can always say, hey, we saw you guys on the Drag Driver Pete show, and we would certainly appreciate that nod there. And the gentleman's agreement is this. You guys, I need you. You need me. I hope. I'm going to keep doing this because I love it, but I need you guys to hit that follow or subscribe button. Wherever you're watching this, we've had great numbers all night, lots of comments. Wherever you're watching this, if you're not following us or subscribe to us, please do that. That's all I ask, right? I'm going to keep doing this because I love it, but that would be a huge help from you guys. I can't verify that you do that, obviously, and that's where it's a gentleman's agreement. I'm going to do this, you do that. We'll live on. And then PowerTube TV, guys. All this stuff that we do over here ends up on PowerTube TV somewhere. I love it. They actually have helped us gain a lot of subscribers. So if you haven't downloaded the PowerTube TV app, you need to do that. They also have a YouTube channel, tons of content over there. Pinks All Out, Pastime, which are all coming back for 2025. They got a big Power Fest coming. But if you are a small creator, or if you are a creator at all and want to introduce your stuff to a whole new audience, PowerTube TV is a great way to do that. They have a content creator program like what we're involved in, and it helps get your word out there, helps get, you are in front of more people, and they have a podcast dedicated channel, which is cool because that's really what we push for them, is all this podcast stuff or live stream stuff for us. All righty. Again, Deechworks, shout outs to them. Let's, I think, let me do this ad read for WAF Racing, or play the video real quick, and then we're going to bring on Ed Ensor for the first half. I promise. I'm trying to get to this. Fro, I'm gonna start the video now.
Have you ever wished you could fit your toolbox in the palm of your hand, or really needed that extra set of hands while making a jet change at the track? At WAF Racing, we specialize in designing and manufacturing top-tier automotive tools that are made strong to withstand travel, yet lightweight not to slow you down. Tested in-house and at the track by the team at WAF Racing, every part is made by racers for racers. From compact toolkits, carburetor top hats, or spark plug storage containers, our tools are precision engineered and manufactured in the USA. Made of the strongest materials, every piece strikes the perfect balance of durability and dependability. Maybe you need something custom just for you. We do that too. You need WAF Racing in the passenger seat for your next drag racing event. Head over to wafracing.com today to take your racing experience to the next level. WAF Racing. Design, build, race.
Man, I love Chris and the whole team at WAF Racing. They came to the circuit. They're coming back for 25, and the quickest carburetor average gets $300 and an entire WAF Racing deal and a custom trophy that he's having built by somebody that builds really cool trophies. All right. Stoney told me earlier that he may fangirl just a little bit at this because Mr. Ed Ensor is the quickest naturally aspirated car in drag and drive history. This guy came in and laid it down last year at Six Summer. This year or Six Summer 23, maybe this year at Sick Week, 7.0s like clockwork, ended up with a 7-second low 7.07, something like that, 7.09 average for the week at Sick Week, 800 miles in a car that he drove 45 miles an hour and had to stop every 18 or 22 miles and burned 200 gallons of race fuel. This dude is an animal. I would like to say him and I are friends now because I spent so much time with him, having him talk into the camera during Sick Week. I can't wait for this. It's going to be a good time. So, Mr. Ed Ensor, please, everyone, help us welcome him in here. I'm pumped about this, man. You're one of the, you're a pioneer in this drag and drive, naturally aspirated, front running. Hey, can I pat you on the back anymore?
I don't know. First off, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Definitely I'm looking forward to it. So hopefully I can answer some questions and tell you what it's all about.
Yep, I'm excited about this because what really kind of kicked off this relationship that, I mean, obviously I knew who you were, I knew the car, all that kind of stuff leading up to it, but you were nice enough to be like, hey, I'm fixing to start the car. You should get some content of this. And you're like, hey, what would be like, there needs to be more naturally aspirated content out there. I see Jerry Sweet in here making comments and stuff. Thank you all for coming in here. Another big heavy hitter in the naturally aspirated game. And man, there's so much spinning in my head, but I just want to say thank you for being so welcoming. You and Jimmy both into the pits. You guys would stop what you were doing, which turning that car. We're going to talk about it in a minute, but getting the car race ready, getting the car street ready is real. I mean, it's time consuming, and you have to be detailed. So you make a list, but you guys were always welcoming. Anytime I came over, you stopped what you were doing when it was a good spot to stop, and gave me a few minutes, and I appreciate that a whole lot.
Well, we definitely appreciate, you coming around and, paying attention to what we are doing, because we're just a small part of the show, but it definitely feels good to see, a lot of fans and different racers, appreciate, what we're trying to do. I'm not saying it's probably not the easiest thing, but we're definitely trying. And I actually feel like the way it was all covered, we're actually getting a lot of good coverage from it and a lot of good, positive feedback, which is good, because, it doesn't matter if you're, a 6-second car or if you're a 13-second car. We're all out there trying to do the same thing. And sometimes, it's just as hard with, a 12-second car. So, we all do it because we love it, and some do it for other reasons. But, most of all, it's, definitely a challenge. And most of all, you meet a lot of good people. So that's what kind of keeps me going, do it, because, everybody has their own reason, right? But I chose to do it in the naturally aspirated world, which sometimes I, think that might not have been the right choice, but it's where I'm in, so.
Well, Jonathan says this, has had this conversation with me in the past, is that, most folks can build a 7 or 8 second turbo setup, right? In that world, you're kind of there, you're one in a lot. There's a lot of people that kind of run that with that. And Jonathan also lives by Mother Nature's atmosphere as well in a lot of his cars. And he said, you can be one of a few to go fast with the naturally aspirated car.
And that's where you guys really stand out with you and Jimmy, because people have gotten so to where you look at a 7-second car and it's become the norm now to where it didn't used to be. But then when you walk by and you see the car doesn't have a power adder, that's not the norm. I mean, you guys are probably you're one of 4 7-second cars, but you're the fastest.
Well, I mean, every dog has his day, right? And so, I mean, saying you're the fastest, I mean, for today, right? There's always somebody better. There's always somebody coming around the corner, to take. But, we've worked hard at it to get where we're at. And, there's one slight problem, when we took the car back out, back in 23 for the first time, everybody thought it was, it's a fluke, and I'm not going to lie. I had never driven the car until we left Cordova for 6 summers. But, being around it long enough, you think what's going to work and what's not going to work. But, so from day one, since I brought that car out, it had a bullseye on its back. But, obviously throughout the, last year, we did a lot of testing and I tried a lot of new things. And obviously I wanted to do better, the second time out with the car, and it worked out, and I'm not going to say it was easy. I'm not going to say, you don't need to have luck on your side, because I mean, that was a little bit more than what I probably wanted. I'm not going to lie to you. We started out, behind the 8 ball when, down south, they got that weather, and I wanted to go down there testing a little early, and they got snow, which, come on, snow down in Georgia, Florida, so that for a curveball, but it surely wasn't quite, it was a little bit more than what I kind of signed up for, only because, man, we just never got ahead of the game. We were behind the 8 ball from day one, and from day 0, let's call it day 0, we were behind the 8 ball. It rained all day. So, man, we just battled and battled, and it was an uphill battle. And I mean, the reward at the end was definitely great, but if I had to do it all over again like that, I don't know if I'd sign up. And I don't think
Right.
Well,
after the second day, he finally said, Ed, we do need to get some sleep. I can go 2 days with no sleep, but I ain't going 3.
Yeah.
yeah,
When he said that,
you guys had it hard.
oh, it was
So
tough.
one of
Yeah.
the conversations we talked about was day one. You guys, and I want to talk about the rocker arms later, but you didn't leave the track day one until like 8 o'clock or something like that, right?
Yeah, and that I'm going to tell you that right there set the tone for the week, unfortunately. And it was about 8:30, and I'm packing the trailer, finishing it up at the very end, and he's finishing up the rocker arms. And I'm thinking, man, this probably doesn't make a lot of sense. This is the latest I've ever left in 14 drag and drives. I'm usually at the hotel by 8:30 at night. Okay. This surely isn't what I'm looking to do. And, but we were there. I put all the work into it for a year testing. And like, man, I can't give up yet. So it was either do or die, right? So we said we're gonna give it a whirl. And I'm not gonna lie, I-75 really was the first thing on the radar. So it was either gonna go good or it was gonna go bad or it was gonna be short. And we ended up hammering down the interstate literally all night long with no hotel and 0 sleep. The hotel, and that just was tough to recover from that. I'm not 18 years old anymore, so let's face it, it's not what I wanted to do, but it worked out. So
Well, and you think so. For people that don't know, the first leg of Sick Week was 300 plus 320 miles, and you and I were talking. You're like, I've factored in this is like a 65-gallon trip, and you didn't change fuel cells, so your race fuel, you're filling it with race fuel, and you're keeping your race fuel cell, which is what, 5 or 6 gallons, maybe.
yeah, I mean, it may be 6.5, but here we're putting 5 gallons in at a time. So whatever that works out to be, it actually worked out. That highway drive actually worked out better than expected. We got about a little over 5 miles to the gallon. And yeah, you are correct. I had 62 gallons figured, and you got to remember, I'm my own gas station. So I started off with a 1,600-pound trailer, so that trailer, and then you look at the car, it's like, man, nothing's really making a lot of sense here. But we burned through a lot of fuel and we went through it fast. So obviously the trailer got lighter. But I mean, I had it calculated down to the last, what was in the tank when we pulled into Bradenton is all we had left. Because I race it on, Q16, and then I drive it on, C12, C14. And I mean, we were down. I mean, it worked out. Let's put it that way.
And you're not picking that up at a gas station at 3 a.m. as you're cruising down through there.
No.
Yeah.
But it worked out. The most important thing was, we didn't run into any problems that night, because if we would have ran into problems, we would have never made it there on time, because I think we rolled in there about 6:45. And man, I don't even remember the last time I stayed up all night long. So now to conquer what we just did, now we got to figure out how to put the thing back together and get it ready, so when they call us to the lane. So
so getting there, you're in the say you're in your pits by 7:15, whatever, right? What's the turnaround time on that car from street mode to race mode?
Well, rested up and being sharp, I think we can do it in 2 to 2.5 hours, let's call it. Okay. But when you're not, on your game and pretty much, wiped out, you're not really thinking the best. Right. So that really was something that we had to adapt, because him and I, were pretty thorough. I mean, super thorough. And we were second guessing ourselves on some stuff. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, when we got to Bradenton there, we were behind, but then when they called us to the lanes, we weren't quite done. And I mean, I needed to change the spark plugs. You can call it whatever. Like I said, you can call it lazy, you can call it out of time, but we were just wiped out. And when they called us, we said, you know what, we're going to take a chance at it. And it probably wasn't the right choice, because obviously that was the only day we had to make 2 passes. We had to come back and wait, put the plugs in it. But it is what it is, right? No excuses, but it was definitely a challenge, because we weren't clicking the way we were when we were fully rested,
Oh yeah.
And you don't think it matters, but it matters. And I'm telling you, and I mean this, Jimmy is the guy that is meant for me on that deal, because I mean, first off, without him next to me, it's not going to happen. Okay. Because I'm pretty tough to deal with, first off. Secondly, I'm pretty driven, so I'm not going to give up. And Jimmy is like, no complaints. He goes with the flow, never complains. And he's always got my back. And that right there there's no price on it. Right. Because I've been, and I know friends, and that, halfway through leading to things, and things go the wrong way, and somebody's sick, or you don't get food, whatever, you're only as good as people you're around. And I'm fortunate enough. I mean, he's been with me 2011. I did that was my second drag week, and Jimmy was my co-pilot back then. And he's just a good, and it's not about Ed. It's about, who Ed's around, because Ed's got a lot of good people around him. And I'm fortunate enough Jimmy's one of them, because, man, that guy, he don't say 5 words sometimes. And people say, man, Eddie's so quiet. Yeah, but he's just that guy. And I'm very fortunate that he's on my side, because like I said, not everyone's going to put up. And like I said, he didn't even complain after the no sleep, but he did say, 3 days, Ed, we can't do this, because we're going to the and, right, because I didn't want to go 3 days with no sleep. So, but at the end of it, it worked out, so. But,
well, and one thing that Jonathan and I talked about quite a bit was like, was your powertrain. So I want to ask a little bit about that, what engine stuff, because it's a 632 cubic inch, right?
correct.
But Jonathan was telling me it's not like a traditional big block Chevrolet, or so. The way you do the stroke and bore sizes may be different than what they would do.
Correct. So I've had different cranks in the motor. It started life as a bigger engine. And here's the thing: you can have all the torque in the world, but when you're still on this 10-inch tire, I mean, that's a common denominator for me, at least. Okay. I'm not, there's better people out there, right? So there's guys that go a lot faster with small tires, but when we're here in the Midwest, we don't get to always test that, unless we go over to Martin, Michigan, which we have been fortunate enough. But more torque doesn't always mean better for me. Okay. So we tried different combinations, different cranks, trying to get the thing. I mean, I want it to run up top more, because I'm pulling so much power out down low. So why more torque, right? So we've tried combinations, and Jimmy's the brains behind that. I'm just, it's my deal, my car, my stuff, but we bounce stuff off each other, and he built it the way he wanted to build it. And it seemed it was happier. I could utilize more of what I had, so it's working better for this combination. So it's not yes, I've got other 632s, and it's just a simple deal that it works for me. There's better ones, or maybe there's ones that make more power, but for what I'm trying to do and drive it and do what I'm doing, this one works for me,
Right. That made me think of I wish I had a picture of the front end off here. It's on our Facebook page for anybody that hasn't seen it yet. There's this cute little radiator that's up front. It's about this big. It's just tiny, right? But you guys completely swap over the cooling system too. Like when you're talking about 2.5 hours, there's a lot that goes into that swap over. So
well,
for people that understand, like they may say, oh, well, it's just tires. It ain't just tires.
Right. And here's the thing. Do I have to do all of that? No. Okay. But here's the deal. You have no time limit. So as long as I get there and make my passes, what does it matter if I do 5 hours of turnaround or if I do 1 hour? Okay. And there's no rule against it. Okay. So I, chose the way I wanted to do it because that's the way I want to do it. And could you go, a different route? Sure. And I've got my other car that I've done different routes, but this deal here, I wanted to do it the way here, you can do it with bigger cubic inches and try to have more power, or you could do it the way I'm trying to do it. And it just seems to work for us.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the best way, because there's a lot smarter people out there than me, but it's just the way I want to do it. And what else am I going to do? I mean, yes, it's nice to not, maybe if we wouldn't have got behind, the week would have been unbelievably awesome, because we would have had time to stand around, but we got behind from day one and just never caught up. And that's what people don't understand. It's so hard to catch up. And man, oh man, it was just it was just tough, and the way I have done it for so many years, being a co-pilot with my buddies and the success we had doing it, man, there was times we were racing at 9 a.m. and on the road by 10:30. We were one of the first cars down the racetrack. We were on the road by 10:30 and at the hotel at 4:30 or 5. So this was like the total opposite of what I wanted it to go as, but it all worked out, but even with the changeover, it's not life or death. I mean, it's not that big a deal if everything's going good, but you just can't overcome the time sometimes when you have, issues. And the first day, and I'm not knocking, I mean, it was awesome. 385 entries, 200 plus sick ward guys. I mean, fans all over the place. And still managed to get through the first day, and they had a great plan. The sick team had a great plan. They had, they were going to get rid of maybe 100 cars if they would have let them run, if we could have ran on day 0. And that was a great plan, but it just didn't work out with Mother Nature, with all the rain they had. So it was just one of the first time in 14 years that I've ever been in that position, but we adapted and we overcame. So that's a big plus to, Jimmy next to me, and, the dedication and the commitment to trying to be the best we can,
Oh yeah, for sure. And then transmission, you run a Power Glide with no overdrive, right?
Well, yes, I run Performance Trans builds to transform me. They're Power Glides. I have a few of them. I do have other Mustangs with gear vendors in them. This particular one does not, and I wish I would have put it in maybe before that week, only because of the interstate. But here again, I'm going to do it the best I can do it. So if I can be 40 pounds lighter, I'm going to sacrifice and go slower on the road, So that's just by choice, not because one's better than the other. But in this car, that's just what I have set up as, no gear vendors. But that's not saying I won't put one in it,
Yeah.
I don't think the 40 pounds is going to hurt the car. There's chances you put the weight in the right spot. Sometimes you go faster, right? So we'll see. I need to try it. I need to go test it and see, what we think of it.
Well, for folks that are watching this on YouTube and Facebook and stuff, the car is gorgeous. I want to know a little bit of the history. What like how long have you had it? How did you come across this car?
So I've had it basically 4 years, and I found it. It was a gentleman that was obviously doing a max effort build, and he never finished it. Him and his partner, it was a sad story, and he ended up with the car without his partner, and he lost his sidekick. So at the end of the day, he had a car that he didn't know pretty much, what he had and how to run it. And he kind of lost interest in it. Right. So I was at the right spot at the right time. It was not finished. My wife and I drove all the way down to North Carolina flew down. I flew down the first time and made the deal the next day when I saw the car. And then my wife and I went and picked it up the following week, or, within some time. But it started life as a 85 Fox body Mustang convertible, Hunt Racecraft. I mean, I can't say enough. I saw the car. I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. And it was exactly what I wanted as a foundation, but obviously I had to finish it, put my spin on it, and do it the way I wanted it. But unbelievable car. And so I got it. It took me about a year to get it finished. I needed, it was going to be a class car. It was built with, stock suspension, stock frame rails to meet the rules, but it was built for the rules, where this guy wanted to go play. And I didn't really have any use for it. I was just going to do some 8th mile racing here local, maybe, but I've had, I think, maybe 21 Fox bodies throughout my years. So I'm a Fox body guy. So it was something I had to have, right? So I piddled around with it, still playing with my other car, my red car. And then finally, one day I'm like, you know what? Sick Week was out and Sick Summer was out. And I'm like, man, I think I'm going to try Sick Summer with this thing. Something caught my interest, and I'm like, I'm going to try to do it. So I just, finished the car the way I wanted it, and we debuted it at Sick Summer, Yeah. That was the goal behind it. But I was just at the right spot at the right time, to find the car, and it was something I could make what I wanted.
Yeah, the car's gorgeous. One thing that Jonathan and I talk about all the time is just how nice your cars are. Kind of tell us about keeping it clean too, because that's the other side of driving hard on stuff.
You know what? 100%. What you said. It's a lot of wear and tear. It's a lot of everything, because you have the elements. You have just so many different things to go with it, right? But here's the thing with myself. I want a show car, then I'll worry about the race car. Okay. Because first that's just what I am. Okay. So I put a lot of effort. That's why I say it took me a while to get it the way I wanted it, to take it the way, out to race it. But here's the thing that most people don't understand. It's great. It's fun. And I do love it, and I'm passionate about it, but it is a lot of work, because like right now it's completely it's tore down to nothing. The engine's on the stand, and I disassemble it all. I'm talking everything. Okay. But that's just me, but that's my hobby. This is what I enjoy. So I try to make them, so I can take them to the car shows, drive them with my family, drive them with my kids. I enjoy that. So, but with that, man, it just seems like it's 24 hours a day, especially drag and drives, because I want it clean in the morning. I want it to look the last day like it did the day I unloaded it out of the trailer. But sometimes you got to sacrifice, but that's why, it's never ending. And that's what, most people don't understand. This is 7 days a week. I'm working on these cars in my spare time. Obviously I got a full-time job, but, the only one who really understands that's probably my wife and my family, because they live it daily, and that's by my choice. And I'm lucky enough to do it, but it would be easier if I just looked at it as a race car, but I just can't do that. So that's me, but it's
gorgeous. I'll tell you that much. It's a great color. It looks amazing. It's one of the nicest cars in all of drag and drive, and you treat it like it is. Like it's always wiped down. It's always nice.
Well, I appreciate that, but there's always somebody that's got something nicer. But I put a lot of effort into it, and that was kind of the funny thing when I brought my red car out in 2021 maybe. 1320 Kyle and his crew, they did a real nice deal on my red and Fox body, and that was pretty cool to see, because somebody else noticed it, and that's the deal. It's a full-time job. If you want it that way, there's no rubber in them wheel wells. It's
that's awesome.
It's a sickness, but hey, you know what? There's things I can.
Well, yeah, we're glad you're into this and not drugs.
Hey, but this one might be more expensive. I don't know. But
yeah. Well, one thing
it could be worse. There's a lot of work to be doing.
Yeah. One conversation we did have, I think it was on day 0, was about your preparation with like torque converters and tires and things like that. Can you talk on torque converter change? Like I think you said you had 7 or 9 or something like that torque converters that you had tested in that car leading up to the event.
Well, there's no doubt about that. And and that's the one thing I'm fortunate enough, I'll take the time and I'll go rent a track, or I'll go to my local tracks, and that's where Jimmy's got a full-time job building these engines, and I can't always pull at Jimmy and say, hey, I want to go try this, because I mean, he's got to make a living too, right? So I'm fortunate enough that my kids and my family, my son-in-law, we'll go. 3 of us will go and I'll test for the day. And I'm not gonna lie, there'll be a day I'll change rear ends right at the track. I'll change torque converters right at the track, and we may go 6, 7 numbers slower. We may go a tenth slower. Sometimes we may find 1 number or 2 numbers. I mean, I got on a deal with, FTI converters. I mean, they were shipping me converters weekly, and we were trying different stuff. So it got to the point where they're just sending the label with the converter. So it's like, send it back, do this, So I've been fortunate enough to put the effort and get hooked up with the right people to keep trying new stuff to make it better. Because here's the deal: when you got NA, it's hard to find. It's hard to find 1 or 2 numbers, let alone a tenth. So that was just plain, trial and error. And you can study the data, you can do whatever, but sometimes until you put it in, you don't know what you have. So we tried more strange engineering. I think they built me 6 different center sections. I mean, I've got light ones, I got heavy ones, I've tried all gear ratios. I've turned the motor from, I'll tell you, 7,400 to 9,000 RPMs. I've tried all different deals with this thing. And I'm not going to, the most important thing is I wore out a complete engine testing this deal. Literally over 120 passes. So,
Wow.
I mean, and that's in one whole summer. So people, whatever, the results are because of one thing. It's work, and it's trying different stuff and trying to find what, every car is different. Everybody, you got to find what the car wants. Right. So I feel it's over exceeded my expectations. I didn't expect the car to go that. I mean, when we took it to 6 summer in 23, I think we were running 40s, but that was literally the first time with that combination. And then I tried different stuff. And I mean, that's just whittling away to get it to where it's at. I never dreamed the car would go into 6s. I mean, with the power it makes and the weight of the car, I mean, it's hard to run what them speed calculators say. And obviously I love chasing time slips. I love chasing the calculator. I love chasing all of it. And it's just, it's just a goal. So we just keep trying different stuff, and hopefully we stumble on some stuff. And we did, and we have, but sometimes we go 3 steps backwards, and then you believe the bad days probably outweigh the good days. How does that sound?
Well, and I think that's your approach to, you take the same approach that I see in like the Pro Mod guys or the Top Sportsman guys that we do with the Midwest Drag Race Series. Those guys are testing all different kinds of stuff when they're testing. They're going through all these things. You're probably one of the, I would say, the few drag and drive racers that do that. There's not a whole bunch of guys. They'll build a combo and then they kind of have fun with it. And maybe I'm just not seeing it, but you're one of the only guys that tests as much as that.
Well, it's because that's what I enjoy, right? I do this for personal goals. I mean, we're not doing it for money, obviously. We're not doing it, so I do it for my own personal goals. And there's nothing wrong with the guy that builds 11-second car and he comes out, because you know what? That guy's having a blast. And I've been there, and I've done that, and that's fun. And it doesn't matter how fast the car is. It's as long as you're doing what you want, right? So I enjoy it. But the drag and drive back when I started this back in 07, it was nothing like it is today. And in the last 4 years, it's gotten even better and better. I mean, it's getting coverage. There's more events. You have, Sick the Mag now covering it. I mean, what Sick Team has done compared to what it has been, I mean, you can't say anything negative. I mean, how can you? Look at some of the caliber events and look at all these other ones that you guys are following that people are doing. So you got to get in kind of where you fit in, right? So if you have something in this drag and drive community, something for everybody, right? So some people are, look at what we're doing as, probably not the smartest thing, but then the next guy may think the other guy's doing the wrong thing. So there's something for everybody. And that's what's kind of cool about it, and that's what makes it definitely interesting, because that guy got that 11-second car, he might be working just as hard as what I am. You don't know that, so you just don't judge a book by its cover. And as long as they're having fun and you are, that's all that matters, right? I mean, look at the caliber of hardcore. It's changed over the last 15 years. There's some hardcore racers that have gotten into this game, and it's changed the result. I mean, I remember when Larson, Lutz, Bailey, them guys got on the scene. Okay. Now, if you can't see what's going on with Brett LaSala, you know, Jim, Joe, I mean, the guys that surrounded by that crew over there at Motion Race Works, I mean, come on. I mean, look what they're doing. Look at, I mean, the caliber of cars that are out here today and how fast they're going. I mean, it's getting out of control, but it's getting momentum and people are seeing it and people are joining it. And, you know, I mean, look at the field of cars in Florida this year. I mean,
oh man.
I mean, come on. I'm just a small part of that. I'm lucky I'm even finishing the top 10, you know, but man,
to do that naturally aspirated is pretty intense. Let me do this. Let me let's get into the Performer Built transmission segment of the show, and I want to talk about that. I want you and Stoney to kind of nerd out just a little bit. I don't understand a lot of the stuff. All I know is turn up the boost a little bit more, and so I want to talk about that. So let me do this ad read, and then we'll jump into that.
Okay.
All right, Jonathan, give me just a second. Let me pull this up here real quick. Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot there. Here we go. All right. Performer Built Transmission is the official trans builder of the Drag Driver Pete Show. At Performer Built Transmissions, the goal is to engineer and build the toughest transmissions on the planet. Performer Built doesn't just rebuild transmissions, they systematically re-engineer each model to eliminate OEM flaws and to achieve the highest levels of performance. That's why they say their transmissions are not just built, they're Performer Built. And I want to show off this new, I don't even know what this is. It's a new milling machine. I called Ryan earlier at Performer Built and I was like, bro, tell me what you're going to do with this. And he's like, we bought this and we're so excited because this is going to help us go to the next level with all of like the transmissions. Now, these guys mainly work in GM transmissions. 4L60 is kind of their claim to fame. They have the fastest 4L60 powered car in the world, and they're going to use this machine to make it even better. Like the conversation we had, he's going to talk about in a couple weeks. This is a big deal for them. This is a lot of money to be spent, and we just are so glad that Performer Built is on board with us because we get, again, the insight into what this stuff does, like why this is important, how you can make a 4L60 live behind Howie Price's 5,000 pound Oldsmobile or Buick wagon, and it just lives, and that car runs nines and getting twin turbos and all that kind of stuff. So I can't wait to hear all this, but I want a big shout out to Performer Built for getting a new product and piece and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to have them on board again for 2025. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled programming with Mr. Ed Ensor and Jonathan Stonesife for Uncle Stoney down here below. Okay, I want to set the stage here with my first question, and this is probably probably a dumb question, but in this photo from Six Summer, there's the little scoop, like the plexiglass scoop we typically see. But if I flip back here, we see this scoop. So this is my first question. Why different scoops? What was the change there? And did you need more airflow? Is that why this one's on compared to what was at Six Summer?
Well, you noticed it. So I actually tried 3 different deals, but so what I found, that setup has worked best for the combination I have actually. So I liked the old school bird catcher, which was fine, but Glass Tech being local and being in my backyard, I brought them over a hood and I said, hey, I'd like to, put this scoop on it, because obviously you watch by learning, right? So there's a reason back in the day, Pro Stocks had those big hoods or, the scoops. So I wanted to try, that setup. So Glass Tech did a scoop for me. We added it to one of my hoods, and it seems to be the best for what I'm doing. I also had another one with a flat deal where I had the intake manifold, the top changed so it was flush with the hood with no bird catcher. Okay. And tried that deal, and I actually put a lot of effort into that, and that was great to the 8th mile. Then it became a low pressure area, and then I lost, speed in mile per hour. So but that's a good catch that you notice that I've tried basically 3 different hood configurations on the different combinations. So that's what I got going.
That's pretty interesting there because obviously the big scoop, like the pro stock style scoop there, in my opinion, seems like it would allow more air into the area, all that kind of stuff. Wow, interesting. Yeah. Anyways, that was my first, like, why is it? This was a shot from sick summer 2024, I think, during testing or something like that.
Wow.
Again, car looks amazing.
Well, I appreciate that. But the thing was, I wanted to try different things, but the one hood was like 9 pounds lighter. So I'm like, man, I like the lighter hood. Then I get the heavier hood, but then the heavier hood outperforms it. So it's like, So I change it up, I guess.
That's awesome. Well, one of the questions I think I have really is why naturally aspirated? Why go such a hard route? Because it's got to be the toughest way to go really fast. Like because you're literally limited to what Mother Nature can give you and how much air that motor can pump. Because you're not adding any, like there's no nitrous here. Like folks that are just coming in, you got to understand there's no, it doesn't have 3 stages of nitrous on this thing. He's not, it's not boosted by a supercharger or turbos or anything. Like this is literally what Mother Nature gives you and how you go fast. Why naturally aspirated?
That is a good question. Why naturally aspirated? Because, so I feel that's the lane I belong in. Okay. Somewhat of the, I belong in there more because I understand it more. I'm not going to lie. I've been a carburetor guy, all my life until I got this fuel injection, which was done by HCR Innovations, which was Devin Vanderhoof with the tuning. And it almost came so easy, and I'm anti-computer. So, but it's kind of hard, it's made it so easy with that, okay, with the fuel injection, okay, because I was old school carburetor and I loved it. I had great success. I ran a ton of, BRE carburetors and had good luck with it. But the NA, it just seems, I fit in better with that, only because I understand it, okay. Mm-hmm. It's probably the simplest, but yet it is the hardest, okay. I did nitrous back in 2007. I did a nitrous car. I did a nitrous car in 2011. But I like the challenge. And then when I was with Kurt Johnson for all those years, we, were NA. And I started, understanding it and liking it. So I went that route, and the best part about what you just said, why, no nitrous, no nothing. The funny thing is you hear there's always somebody in the woods, with scuttle, right? Well, yeah. Is it NA? Is it this? Well, at the end of sick week there, one of, I don't want to mention his name, but he come over and he had the car apart and wanted to make sure the car was naturally aspirated, and that's the best compliment basically for an NA guy because, everybody thinks where's the bottle hidden, right? So he had a fuel cell. I mean, he's taken lines off the trunks off, and obviously, if you've seen the car, you can see pretty much anything if you get up under inside of it. So that was the best reward because, they all know it's NA, right? So that was big for him to look at it because I've seen at some drag drive events, naturally aspirated cars with nitrous bottles in the car. Now, I'm not saying it's hard to police when you have 300 plus cars, right?
Yeah.
But I've seen it with my own eyes. So
yeah, I thought NA meant nitrous assist.
Yeah, well, some people think that, but here at the end of the day, that was like there's many guys, and I'll I want to mention Graham Hayes. I think he finished 3rd this year at Sick Week, and that guy came over and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna tell you something. I've been racing a long time, and to do it NA and go what you are, to hear some of the positive feedback by some real good racers, it finally set in that they knew I was there for once. And you know what? That made me feel good. So that's why I stick with the NA. I think it's the challenge. Now, granted, you get like an elite or whatever. You get one of these big, big name teams. There's a lot smarter people out there than me. But at the end of the day, I like the NA. I feel I fit in with the NA. I somewhat understand the NA. And it just seems like, man, it's like, you can't put a bigger nitrous jet. You can't turn the boost up. It's like, man, what you got is what you got, and you got to find it. And I'm that guy that just seems like I'm chasing them stupid numbers on that time ticket. But that's what I like to do, you know.
Well, and that's what Jonathan says about it too, all the time. He's like, you know, this is hard, but it really takes you have to methodically go into this and look at it that way.
Well,
the drive part.
Go ahead.
The drive part's the thing that really separates what we do from everything else, because you know I've co-piloted in a turbo car, and like our turnaround time is shorter with the turbo car, and mine's fairly short. Like I can turn my car around in 45 minutes to an hour, not nearly as long as what it takes to do yours, but like mine, the car has a lot more gear in it, and then I don't run an overdrive, and like my car, I've got it as light as possible. Same with what you've said, you know, and I basically remove all the things that you don't need, like anything that you don't need, we just don't have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sound deadening.
Yeah. I'm surprised I'm hearing now, because after that, you know, down the interstate, it seemed like your ears were just ringing and ringing and ringing.
So I met Jimmy. I met Jimmy in 2014 on Drag Week, and that's like with what you said. We man, day one went great. I could have put the car on my back and carried it to the next track, and then we had on day two we had a struggle and had the ignition box go bad, and we got behind and didn't get to the motel till like 3 a.m. And then it set the tone for the rest of the week. It just seemed like we finished, but it was like we were on the struggle bus where, you know, we missed a couple turns because we were tired, and you know, just dumb little mistakes.
Well, but you're not alone in missing turns. I mean, I can literally tell you the second night after Bradenton, Jimmy said, "Hey, we're turning in a half mile. It's 4 a.m, right? And we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel to finally get sleep." And by God, that half mile came, and I must have just closed my eyes and I missed the turn. So now we're out doing a damn U-turn at 4 a.m, trying to get to the hotel for the first time in 2 days, you know? So
yeah,
I know exactly what you're saying, because
yeah,
you don't catch back up, you know?
Yeah.
But that's, you know, you start behind you, and, you know, it's for everybody. You don't get, that is the thing about drag and drive. I don't care what class it is. If you're behind, it's hard to catch back up, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and for guys that are our age, you know, you can't miss 6 hours and be up for 30 and then try and catch back up in the same week. Jay Blanchard had a great question here. He says, Ed, do you swap out exhaust or add additional exhaust for the street drive? And then do you wear headsets?
Well, so no and no. So we don't swap the exhaust, and I've had, you know, the mufflers and the headers that go under the car, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of that, because that just seems like it just rattles your ears forever. Okay, now I'm running the exhaust out, you know, the side, and I think it's quieter in the car, and I think Jimmy would agree. But when we say quieter, it's still not good, right? But we probably should have put the headsets, because I have them from circle track racing in the day, but Jimmy doesn't want the headsets, and so we're not using them. We're going with just the basics, right? But we should have, because he's got to shout to tell me when the turns are, and so I probably should have them to answer the question, and that may be something in the future, you know, because it would be just better. And then when you do get to the hotel, then your ears won't be ringing. So it probably isn't a bad investment, right?
Right. Well, I want to talk about one question that came to mind is like, how do you get a low 7-second naturally aspirated car to live? Like, are you and we can lead into the rocker arm thing, because that was what you guys changed on day one, and that's kind of what put you a little further behind, because you were going to change. The plan was to change rocker arms. I'm assuming to an easier ratio for the street and less wear and tear on stuff. and then change back to the heavy duty race ready rocker arms once you got to the track. But like why did you do that? Was it a different ratio? Was it just a different material? You didn't think it'd live, or what?
So here's the thing with this. So this was the first time I did that. Okay. And I wanted to obviously do the best thing that we could do to keep the motor alive. So that was something that had been in the works for a while. And the goal was, okay, obviously to go down to Georgia there and test and run the race rockers, switch them. And then we thought about switching them every day, depending if we really needed to, right? So we, getting behind right away, we did change them after, Georgia that night, and you got us on the road later, but we chose to leave them on. So we, kept the street rockers on, the rest of the week. And it really didn't. Yes, you're killing the car with power down low anyway. It hurt the mile an hour, but if if somebody was chomping on my heels, then obviously we would have been changing them and trying to get the most every single day. But so the reason is obviously to control, try to make the camshaft, the springs, trying to keep everything alive, because what we're doing is probably 100% not supposed to be happening, right? So the best scenario is to put the other rockers on, and I'm happy I have them, because obviously it's making everything smaller, trying to make it a little bit more streetable. And knock on wood, the car ran excellent with them. So I ran the rest of the week with them. We did put them on for Friday. The air got a lot worse on Friday, and the performance was the performance. But and here's the thing, when you're doing that, that's just more chance for more failures, right? I mean, you start talking, you talk to somebody comes up, there's always fans that are interested. So it's just another opportunity to drop something that we're not supposed to drop. And you just hope it goes on the ground, not in the motor, right? So it's a risk and reward, right? But it worked out. So we didn't have to do it every night, but I would do it again. I would definitely do it again, because it stayed together. And after, upon further review, I'm going back to run it the way it is right now, because everything seems to be checking out. So it was just me being who I am. I would have kicked myself in the butt if I would have broken, didn't change them, right? So I'm trying to do, everything that I can to make it the best it can be. So, and at that point, after you're already in one day, everybody's watching. Some are hoping, whatever. So the key is I want to succeed, because, I heard after 6 summer, oh, the car won't drive, the car won't do this, whatever, but we made it work.
Yeah, you certainly did. I mean, 800 plus miles, 7 O's every day except day 5. And I think you turned in a 714 on day 5. And like, you guys were light years ahead of everything else. And that's not why you're on here. Like, you're not on here because you were a class winner. You're on here because I admire your level of testing, your commitment to a program. Dude, listen, you could probably go low 6s if you just put some boost to that car.
That all sounds good, right? But here's the situation with that. And trust me, I've been thinking it. The opportunities are there, but you better stay in your lane. First off, if you look at them heavy hitters up there, if you think for a second, I think I can go do that, right? Yeah, that sounds good on paper, because that's where it all begins, or it begins on the internet and you start typing, you start talking, right? There's more to it than that, right? So with more horsepower becomes more problems. So, if you think you're going to go battle with Lutz, Larson, Bailey, Brett, Devin, and I mean, them guys are coming to play ball, right? And I've had some success, but I'm staying in my lane, right? So you always want more, but this is where I belong. I mean, one day, this has hit what I want, the goals, but we'll see what the next day brings, right? Because there's always somebody better. There's always somebody faster, right? But in the realm that I'm playing in with the class that I'm in, you know, in the NA class, I mean, it's a NA, you know, car. It fits the rules. It's one of the 5 categories. So yes, can it be beat? Absolutely, it can be beat. There's always somebody faster, but it's for the kind of car that it is. It's still not a full-blown unlimited car with a long wheelbase and big tire. You know, it's a genuine car. So, I mean, there's always better, but you know, and there's room for improvement. I mean, but where do you draw the line, right? So, I mean, it's just where I fit. I mean, you're right. Could you put boost? Sure, you could. Okay, but with that, that's another learning curve, and you look around, you better you that's a pretty tough. If you don't see what's going on and who's won the last 2, you better pay attention. That's all.
Right. Well, and I was talking to Brett. I'd heard maybe it was you that told me. I don't know, but somebody told me that he had something like 50 sensors on that car that weren't engine related.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't surprise me. I met his guy Joe, one of the the main guys behind the scenes with that team. Joe, Jim, and Brett. I mean, and then you got Doug. I mean, you look at the corral of people there, right? So all I can say is good luck. Okay, if you think it's that easy, good luck, right? Because it's not that easy. They make it look easy, but let me tell you something. Them boys right there are coming to play ball, and they're in their own league, and that's just out of pure respect. And if you can't see it, that's all right. But there's always jealousy, right? But if that's nothing but respect, because them dudes come to play ball and they show it. So, and I'm trying to do that at my own level and where I'm at, but I belong right where I'm at. This is where I fit in. I've got NA cars. I've done, and this is where I enjoy. You get a elite or Richard Free. You get them kind of guys involved in this NA, they'll make me look silly. So there's always somebody better. There's always somebody angling. There's always somebody trying to beat you. But I do it for my own reasons, and this is where I belong.
Well, I want to back up. I want to talk about some history stuff. We've got a great audience here right now. I want to learn some, let's talk about your and Kurt Johnson's time, and then kind of what brought you back to race, you being the racer.
Well, so I started in 07 with one of a friend of mine's S10 pickup. I did a Pro Street Power Adder deal, and that was a car that I just drove. And then in 11, I brought my car, and Jimmy came with me, and we were on a little bit of a, we wanted to try a small block deal, and that was definitely interesting. We did a Nitro small block deal, and I thought, oh, cool, we can compete with the, small blocks. Well, whatever. Freiberger he didn't like my situation because they said you needed to have a set of stock spring. You had to have springs in the stock location. Well, I actually had 2 sets of springs. Okay. So he didn't see it the way I did. So they threw me in modified. So we ended up 3rd overall with a little 360-inch small block, and we ran in modified. And it's funny, I look back at those records back then in 2011. Tom Bailey, Goldstone, which is a good friend of mine, and Schroeder, they were all in the same class. So when you look back in time, it's kind of funny to see what's been happening. Yeah. So then in 2011, I was, like I said, I was there with my stuff, and Kurt Johnson was there, and he's a great friend of mine. And he was running an NA deal, and him and McIntyre kind of, I think at that time, I'm not going to say we're rivals, but they were on each other's radar, right? So I think Kurt ran into some trouble on 11 and 12, and so I can actually remember when he got back and he said, "Hey, would you be interested in maybe riding with me?" And I'm like, "When?" He's like, "Next year." I'm like, "Holy cow!" So we time went on, and so I hooked up with Kurt in 13 all the way to 19, and I was a co-pilot. It was fun. I learned a ton. I was, it was awesome. Kurt, like I said, is a good buddy of mine, and we won, I think, all 7 years. And I thought
that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
No doubt. But I was just a small part of that. And I mean, obviously, but the thing was, McIntyre was on the other side of the fence, and Kurt was running in a different class. And it just seemed like we could never, and I love the competition. I love the competition. And they were both winning, but they weren't, it just wasn't evolving. Right. So it was definitely fun. And after that, it was like, man, I'm going to go do one of my cars. So I went back. We had COVID in 20, so that was a bust, So 21, I started working on a car of mine, and I went back and I went to Midwest Drags, matter of fact. And out of 14 drag and drives, that was the one I failed in. I failed in Midwest Drags. First day, I had just a simple problem, and that was kind of my warm up to go to Drag Week in 21 with my red car. And so I failed a little bit at Midwest Drags, chalked that up as a learning experience, got ready, went back to Drag Week in 21, and then ended up winning that deal with my small tire red car. And I think that's still got the record today. I think I was going 820. I went 830s on the first day, and I'll never forget that. That was, my buddy was next to me in the other lane, and we broke the mandrel off the front of the motor, and the thing went through the guy's window in the lane next to me. So that was a good friend of mine, Chris Roscoe, and thank God it hit the passenger side. I think it hit the passenger side. I mean, the glass went everywhere, and it was a stupid man. He's down at the big end. He said, something flew off your car. And I'm like, what? Nothing flew off my car. And I'm looking at his window, and I'm like, holy Christ. So that was in 21. And we ended up finishing. We pieced together something. Didn't have a vacuum pump the rest of the week, and I think I averaged 840 something with my small tire deal, which took the record. And back then it was Super Street, I think they called it, and then now that's no longer. And I think they call it all motor or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that was back then. And then 22, I didn't drive, but I took both of my kids, and that was probably the best drag week I've ever had, because in 22, Jimmy went with one of my kids and I went with the other, and we switched off between both kids. And they both finished, and they each had one of my Mustangs. And I think my son, he ended up second. I think he ended up second. They called it due to rain on the last day, and I think we had just took over the lead on Friday, and then they scratched Friday because of the rain. So we did that in 22. And then 23, I did 6 summer with the blue car. And then 20, I wanted to go in 24 to 6 summer again, but I just work. I had a big job going on, and I was registered, but I had to stay out of that because of my work. And then I went back, obviously, to 25 sick weeks. So 14 years, I've had a pretty good run at it.
Man, that's awesome.
I think, with being co-pilot, total of 8 years, 7 with Kurt, 1 with my kids, and then, 6 years of racing myself. So, I mean,
wow.
I've been around it, and that's the funny thing, because Derek Putman, when I met him, I was kind of under the radar when I came out there to 6 summer, because, they weren't expecting that probably. So it was definitely, it's been definitely challenging. I mean, a lot of that goes back, like I said, I ran with Kurt, and between, co-piloting with him, I think I got, close to, 11 wins. And like I said, we finished 13 out of 14 events. So I'm pretty proud of it, because I don't care what class it is. I don't care what you're doing. Just to finish is an accomplishment. And, and that just goes to, you got to have luck too. I'm going to tell you, you better have good luck, because anything could happen in this deal. Anything can happen.
Am I right? Isn't Kurt Johnson the winningest drag week racer?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Hands down. I think so. We actually talked today a little bit about this, because I had to brushing up on this. I had to get some of the stuff out from the years past. I think he's got 11 drag week coats. Kurt does.
I think that's right.
I think I got 7 with him. Like I said, 7 with him.
Wow.
And then, but now he's doing different things. And like I said, we're good buddies, but that was always the deal. And he thinks what I'm doing is probably crazy, but, obviously he supports it. And I'm sure, he looks back, and let's face it, none of us are getting any younger, and to do this and to keep, doing it at the level you want to do it, you got to pick and choose your battles. Right. So, and he's got going, but it's definitely been a lot of fun. But the most fun was, like I said, when I took both of my kids to see them both finish it.
Yeah.
That was, and Jimmy, and like I said, Jimmy's been my buddy for years. And I mean, perfect example. You know, it doesn't matter if we're going to try to win or if we're going to have fun. You know, he latched on, and with, you know, he's a friend of the family. So it was
Right.
definitely a good experience.
Well, as we kind of wind down here, I'll give us about another 10 minutes. But what, have your kids been back? Do they race? Are they kind of in it? Are they building cars? What's the next step for them?
Well, the short version of all that is I've been racing with these kids of mine. They're 27 and 22, and I've been racing with them both since they were 5 or 6 years old. So they both raced snowmobiles for years. My daughter then got out of that, and she raced, she raced circle track. We circle track raced for many, many years. She ran open wheel midgets. So I stayed real busy with her. Now she's married with a baby. And so now I've got a grandson. So I've got
That's awesome.
everything going in the right direction for me on that. My son followed behind then, he raced the snowmobiles, and we've been fortunate enough to, I mean, I've been doing this with these kids, and I'm going to tell you, that's probably why I don't own my own concrete business. I just work for a guy, because the one nice thing about it, I got to do a lot of things with my kids, and I'm pretty fortunate for that, because we've raced hard, and no matter what level I do it at, we go to play ball, and we played ball with all of them. And it was really exciting when we played with, when my daughter was racing, because we were pretty hardcore into that too. So,
Yeah.
and then my son, and then, he did the snowmobile stuff. And I mean, for years we had opportunities with that. And I mean, at 15 years old, my son was going 194 miles an hour on a snow, 1,000 feet. Okay. So we played. The one who suffered the most out of the whole deal is my wife, man, 30 some years. And she's seen it all. She's seen it all. Kids since they were 5. I've been racing. I raced motorcycles back in the day, drag bikes, and then got into the cars. So she's seen it all, good, bad, or indifferent, from being upside down and crashing to you name it, we've done it. So
Wow.
this drag and drive stuff is probably the most calm, timid, most fun, simplest deal that I've done. Okay. So, so they have, to answer the questions, they came, like I said, in 22. I think my kids have both seen the commitment that I've done in it. And my daughter would go back into it, but now she's got priorities. My son-in-law is probably, if I'm going racing with anybody, it's probably my son-in-law, because,
Cool.
because the kids, my son's just, I think I burned them kids out. we raced too hard for too many years. So, they came and watched, and they're big supporters. Don't misunderstand me, but we burned up a lot of diesel fuel and a lot of miles up and down these interstates for many years doing a lot of racing. So,
wow. Well, Jonathan, I was saying we'll run for about another 8 minutes here. What are some of the questions you have for him?
And you've really covered all the stuff. We touched on the changeover and we're atmosphere limited, with, it's like you said, you had to change the rocker arms one day because the air wasn't what you need to work with. That's one of the things that, I've had to deal with. The humidity plays a big part on my car, more so than air density. So.
Yeah, and I can see that now. Is that fuel injected or carbureted?
Well, I recently changed to fuel injection, but I'd been carbureted up until last year.
And with that carburetor back, and I loved them. Don't misunderstand me. I loved it. And shoot, it was even to the point when I was running carburetors, I was changing different carburetors for the street to drive on.
I did the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. To race on. So I like either one. Either one works. The simpler deal now is obviously the laptop. Just seems to it. I mean, it's technology, right? It's getting better every day. So, but I do still like old school carburetors. When I did it with, like I said, in 22 with my kids, we took 2 carbureted cars. So I've had both versions of it. It's all whatever you like and what you enjoy, I guess, right? But I do think the weather is trickier with the carburetor. There's no doubt.
The other thing I noticed with the fuel injection is my car picked up a bunch of fuel mileage with the fuel injection compared to the carburetor.
Well, I haven't seen that, but here's what I'll tell you. I think what's killing me is the trailer, and I had a pretty good tune up for the carburetor for the street. Okay, so that without through the years getting it better, but my mileage isn't the best by any means. Okay, but that like this trailer is not light, so I look back at all of it. The sixth summer, actually, in my opinion, that drive, I know they say it's shorter, and yes, it was.
Yeah.
But man, them hills that we did out in Iowa, I'll take that Interstate 75 all day over them damn hills in Iowa.
Right.
That about brought me to my knees was them damn hills pulling that trailer. So the interstate was a little more forgiving, for me,
Yeah.
That's one of the things we ran into on doing Rocky Mountain Race Week when we're in the mountains. Like I've actually not taken my car to do the mountain races because of the converter, and it's spragless, and then got race brakes, and I just didn't ever think it was the right car to take to do that because it's so much trickier.
Oh, there's no doubt. And, you better look at the whole package because, I've tried spragless. I've done both spragless. And when you talk about, like you say, Rocky Mountain, that would be that has my interest. I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
And a cool event. And I do have the trailer brakes on the trailer and all that because obviously I don't want to burn up my good stuff. You could throw the trailer brakes away. Those are throwaway items, So
right, exactly. Yeah.
And it's just that's a good safety deal for me. But and that's the deal. Sometimes you need to step out because I know there's a lot of other cool drag and drive events out there, and I may do that with even a milder car just to go do it because. Man, the best highlight of my whole sick week, and this means probably nothing, but it meant something to me. I met the day before it started down there in Georgia. I met 7 guys in an elevator at the hotel that were from Canada, and they were talking to me. And I'll tell you that story. I have that story of meeting these guys, and they became fans of ours, Jimmy and I, and they came to the pits every single day. And there was a group of 7 guys, and these dudes. Man, they made our week because they were there every day. They were there cheering. They were good guys, and they were all friends, man. And I'll never forget the 7 guys I met in the elevator that became our biggest fans. And you look back at this, and that's what is cool about all the different stuff. Yeah, I know I'm a fierce competitor, but at the end, that is what made it fun, and that's what made them sleepless nights all worth it.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
When you pull in on that last day, and like I keep saying, I don't care if it's 6-second car, I don't care if it's a 13-second car. You better look at everybody in there all the same because we're all doing it.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's I want to just run around and hug everybody. And like I'm meeting I easy stuff, but like when you make it to the end of the week, you're like, where's my buddy? Where's my buddy?
And you know what? I've met, and I'm going to tell you, one of my great friends in here in the last year, my buddy Jerry Sweet. Utmost respect, one of the greatest competitors I ever met, and him and his son and his family. And I watched him last year down there at Sick Week take the crown away in this 3,000-pound class. Yes, I know my car's not 3,000 pounds, but when I watched him take that, he took that record away, and he did it, with authority, printing tickets down there, running 770s like clockwork.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the stuff that you remember, because I met a friend, which is a competitor, which is my competition, but me and him have become really good buddies. And he comes over and watches me test when I'm out in Michigan testing my car. So that's the kind of relationships, you try to find in this. Sometimes you don't find that. Some people look past that, and there's always conflict, right? But that's one of the coolest things that I've had. And I've been fortunate enough to meet some really great people. But, before this is all over, this nice, evening with this interview and you guys doing this and having me on here, it was an honor. But most importantly, and I need to throw this out there, I am surrounded by some of the best people, and I've always had the best people around me. And I want to say, big thanks to the people that helped me, because without them, you're nothing. And Strange Engineering, Excess Batteries, Bellman Oil, VP Fuels, Performance Concepts, HCR Innovations. Dave Hunt for building this car for me. I mean, Pro Glass, Competition Electronics, Performance Trans, Mickey Thompson, Holly, Menser Motorsports, FTI Converters, Gear Vendors, Wholesale Tire, Glass Tech. I've had some of the best supporters. My buddy Canman Kicks, he supports me at the track, so I look good, with the apparel. I've got some of the best people, around me, and most of all, man, my family puts up with this, because I mean, to do it at the level I want to do it at, people don't quite understand it, and it's a full-time commitment. And I mean, I just want to, I appreciate you guys having me on, but I got to give credit to the people, and I'm going to tell you, most importantly, my buddy, Jimmy Lopez. I mean, he is my sidekick. He is my engine builder. He built that engine right here in this shop right behind me. And I watched that guy put his heart and soul into everything he did for me. And the proof is in the pudding. And he said it's going to be, he told me when we left here, he said it's going to be just fine. He said, we're going to go do what we do. And I tell you, man, without him, and I mean that because not everybody's going to run hardcore. And I found my guy, and that's important, because it ain't just me, it's everybody around. And I've been fortunate to have that. And Jimmy does know I appreciate his help, because, that's just, you got to have it, without it, you ain't doing this on your own. And if you think you are,
right.
I did one drag and drive on my own, and I'll tell you, I'll never do that again. And that was in 2007. So it didn't take me long to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, one last question to end the night here with you. Jay Blanchard, J Wire Solutions, one of our sponsors, says, could you run 93, or would that be the kiss of death on your combo? And then what's the compression?
Okay. So the answer is, there's people that keep saying you can do it. And yes, you can do it. Not on this engine. I'm not doing it. I don't have the bleed off with the camshaft. I'm 17-to-1 compression, and race fuel's cheap compared to engines. Right. So, I'm lucky, Jimmy, first off, isn't gonna, it's not even an option. Okay. Because I'm not gonna watch what he does to do this and to make it the best you can make it. And then I'm out there rattling it, and detonation's a kind, that's the sign of kiss of death. Right. So I'm not going to experiment. Now, I have other stuff that I can do that with, but not this horse. This thing here, I'm not, 93 is not in its vocabulary.
But yeah. Jay says 17-to-1. Hot dang.
So the 93s, you know what the 93s for? That's for the generator and the trailer.
That's awesome. Well, Ed, listen, thank you so much for welcoming me into your pits, welcoming me into the chaos that you bring, man. It was really cool to see that up front and personal. And I've been working this week on a video that kind of is your trip throughout the week of our conversations and stuff like that. If folks haven't seen it, we did I've probably got, I think, through day 3 interviews with you on the YouTube channel. I intend to do the last 2 days, because that was really where we really kind of hit a stride. I feel like we had some great conversations then. So I hope to have that done early next week and go from there, man. Again, thank you so much for coming on. I can't believe we've spent, an hour and 15 minutes tonight talking. I feel like we could go another hour and 15. We haven't even scratched the surface, so I'd love to have you back on sometime.
Well, and and I do appreciate you, having me on, and I do definitely appreciate all the coverage, and I really feel for the first time like it actually got recognized, and that's due to people like yourself, and there's a lot of people out there trying to do it, and put it out there, and without you guys, the sport doesn't grow. And look what the sport has done, in the last 10 years. So that's your guys' hard work and dedication to do it, because without that, I've been there when there was, 60, 70 entries. Okay. At some of them earlier events. Now, what do? They sell out now in minutes, right? And there's 30 some. Come on. So without all you guys pushing it and getting it out there, it's not going to happen. So, and like I said, it's great to, it doesn't matter what form you're doing it in. I don't care if you're doing sick ward. And like I said, the best memory of my sick week was meeting all them guys that were in sick ward that I met in the elevator. So we all put our shoes on the same way, and we're all out there just doing what we love.
That's awesome. All right, sir. Well, again, I would tell everybody where to follow you on Facebook, but you don't have one.
No,
So
no. Under the radar. They're only
yeah,
talking when the scoreboard lights. Then they'll remember you.
that's exactly right. All right, sir. We're going to put you backstage, and me and Jonathan are going to finish this thing out. If you'll stay with us for just a second, I just want to
Okay.
talk to you for just a second. So stay with me.
No problem.
Guys, listen, I can't thank all the guests tonight enough. This is man, this is one of my funnest shows. I mean, dude, we're 2.5 hours into this thing, and I feel like we could go another 2 hours if we could, you know.
I think it's great. This is a great interview, and you know, it gives everybody a little bit of insight of the man that he is and what he's done, and the way he thinks about things. So
Yeah, and to have him, you know, we had to talk to Tim and Kaitlin. That was cool
yeah,
to spend some time with them. Those guys are really, I mean, they're some of the hardest working people, and I think that's what's kind of been the cursor all night is how hard it is to do this at whatever level. You know, Tim's car
yeah,
is obviously fast, mid sevens, low sevens. You know, Matt Ryce taking 60 or 70 hours to edit a video that'll come out this Friday. Like, just the level of commitment that people are giving to the drag and drive community right now is stellar, man. I love it. I love it.
yeah. Erica, I just appreciate you giving me the opportunity to sit in, and I'm sorry to hear about your mom. I hope everything's going all right. I appreciate
Yep.
you.
Yeah, everybody send good vibes towards the
All
White
right.
household. He did message. There are some good things that have come about this evening,
Good deal.
so that's always a huge plus. But you know, they can always use all the extra they can. So, yeah, missed him big time. You know, Jonathan, again, appreciate you for coming on.
I
You know,
I appreciate you
blame a lot
having me.
of this on you. You know, I mean, you are the reason I do a lot of this, and who would have thought in 2013 that we would have gone here, man?
Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that it come to this because you've put in the work, and like as you always say, you've nerded out to make it your thing, and I'm proud of you. I'm glad to see you do what you've done.
Well, I appreciate that a bunch, and appreciate the support you've always given, man. We've grown some fun things here. We've raised a shitload of money and
Yeah, we
supported
have.
some kids, and we've drag raced a whole lot. So let me
And,
finish this out here, and
yeah, yeah.
we'll get back to those guys. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out tonight. Huge numbers all night. I mean, we were at one point probably second or third highest views we've had all like in our history of this. So that's really cool to have guests on, to have a lot of people making comments. Appreciate you guys doing that. You know, we're live on 8 different platforms right now. So that's that's always really cool that we can do something and bring this kind of knowledge that's out there. And we can't do that without you guys. So thank you so much to our race car friends. Thank you for being there. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for all the stuff you guys do that make this possible for us. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much to our sponsors. You know, without those guys, we can't travel. We can't buy equipment. We can't do what we need to do for me to do this all day. I mean, this is literally what I eat and breathe and sleep. This is all I think about. So thank you so much to our sponsors, Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Deech Works, brand new sponsor for 2025, Howard's Cams, J Wire Solutions, who is in tonight making a ton of comments. Thank you so much, Jay. WAF Racing, love Chris and the team over there. Performer Built, big new machine, don't even know what it does. We're going to have some fun talking to them. Car Change 3D, shout out to Corey Nicholson. Power Tube TV with PowerFest coming up in June. Going to be some pastime and Pinks episodes that you're not going to want to miss. Man, the Pinks they've got planned for the PowerFest is going to be crazy. Like somebody's winning like 16 cars or 15 cars. Sweet Patina, our first sponsor ever. Thank you so much, Blake and the team over there. And Racing Junk Classifieds. You guys are awesome. See you guys next time, probably this Saturday, I'm guessing. So, all right, later. Bye. All right.